jail. I took my phone, dropped it in water, and I bought myself a ticket from JFK to Amsterdam. So I was now a fugitive on the run. 20 years old, parents are split up, struggling. I need to make some money, man. We were getting kilos of coke and swallowing a kilo and flying back home. We were hanging out with these chicks for a couple months. Ended up, one of them set us up. Boom, smashed in the front, smashed in the back. DEA.
Oh, wow.
Jumped on us, freaking pistol to my temple. I was in maximum security in Rikers Island.
Oh, man.
He pulls this nasty looking shank out, bro, and he's doing this. And I'm like, dude, no, bro, please, man. Boom! Just caught him right on the chin, dude. I went in that water, it looked clear. When I walked out, it looked black to me, and I felt God say, that was your addiction, and that was your sin, dead. And a year later, I had met my beautiful wife, married her. We bought a house together. I broke into the UFC. I broke into the top 10, and I was a tax-paying citizen for the first time in my life.
Ian Heinisch, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. I appreciate it. You know, it's cool to run into you in Miami at the fights, and yeah, excited to talk about my testimony, about my experience at Cellular Performance too, and we'll talk about crypto and conspiracies, whatever you want.
All the things, the things. Which conspiracies should we talk about?
Oh gosh, you mean
hit me with one.
The ones that haven't came true yet, or the ones that already have came true?
Let's do one of each.
All right. Well, the ones that have came true, let me think of that. Why don't you start? I'll think of one.
Yeah, ones that have come true. Let's see. What
Here we go. The vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
Heart problems, blood
Myocarditis.
clots, autism.
Yep. There's that. On the vaccine front, there's the Wuhan lab. At first, it came from like a bat and a monkey mating or something like that.
Oh,
now
yeah,
it was like, you know, made in the lab.
Made in the lab. Yep.
Cloth masks work, and of course now that's obvious.
When you sit down at the restaurant, the virus is activated, but when you stand up, it deactivates.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the other way around. But it was just crazy, right? You're in a restaurant, you're eating, but you got to put the mask on to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you got to put the mask on, go to the bathroom. It makes sense. And if you don't do it, you're a bad person because you just want to kill people.
You want to kill your grandma. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, we're in some crazy times for sure, and you know it's an election year. The good thing is it's in a bull market. So
that's right. You think we're in a bull already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A lot of people will judge it differently, but the way I look at it is, you know, once we hit that 15.5 range area, we bottomed out in 2020. Was it 2020? 22. Yeah, 2022. I would say from that point on is kind of starting of a bull market, and especially when you're in the meme coin space. You're getting so many little mini altcoin seasons, so it's just like you're making money. But a lot of people will say, you know, the 200-week moving average has to cross the 300-week, and there's different indicators. But for me, price go up, bull market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten to the memes, and we'll get into some of that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've been primarily Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm into, I think I've got some Pulse. Was it Pulse X?
Pulse Chain.
Yeah, but what's
Pulse X?
Pulse X is one of their coins.
Yeah,
is that the one where you had to burn some to get in? Didn't you have to like put money and burn it?
Well, they did a Pulse Chain sacrifice, and then they did the Pulse X sacrifice later. And
Pulse X.
Most people miss the Pulse Chain. Pulse X is the DEX, which is the swap for it.
That's what I did.
Yeah, so you're good.
How's it
I would
doing?
swap it for Pulse Chain. You're up because you got a bonus, but not by much.
Okay.
So the interesting thing about Pulse Chain is that usually pumps when everything is kind of over. Like after Bitcoin and Ethereum top out and start to go down, then you're going to see a big pump from Pulse Chain because Richard Hart likes all the attention to be on his coins. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a glory type guy. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're expecting. And he plays the market. He has an OA wallet, which is original origin wallet, basically the sacrifice for everyone setting the money. Mm-hmm. He put millions of dollars in Ethereum, so I'm thinking he's going to ride that up. Mm-hmm. He's going to use it to buy his coin.
Attaboy.
So
Attaboy.
Yeah.
Richard Hart, you know, some different thoughts about him. First, I do think he's a genius. I mean, the guy is smart. Really, really smart.
Very smart.
And, you know, so people can talk bad about him. And for those that don't know, he started Hex.
Yeah.
And it became a, you know, multi-billion-dollar coin market cap.
Yep. Did 10,000X.
Yeah, exactly. And really, really great ideas. But then he took some heat, right? He was really out there with his marketing, a big show off. And then he took some heat from the federal government. So what's going on with Richard Hart right now?
Yeah, so Richard Hart, he's the Donald Trump of crypto. So that's how I like to look at it. A lot of people will look up to him so crazy. I'm not going to worship a man. And I think he's a smart, and I think his products are amazing because it is a fully decentralized layer 1 blockchain, the most decentralized blockchain in all of crypto. And I 100% believe that. And which is freedom. It's freedom of speech. It's no one can shut it down. Like the websites, it's like I'm not too technical with it, but like it's not on the HTTP website. It's on a different browser that can't be stopped in any way or form. So don't quote me on that. But either way, it's fully decentralized. He came under heat from the SEC with Hex, calling it a security. He's hired like the most legit team. And if you actually look at the statistics, 98% of all lawsuits from the SEC end in a settlement. 98%. So it's kind of a thing where you got to pay to play. And he's kind of in everyone's face, and he rubs it in that he's a billionaire, Bitcoin billionaire. But he's a smart guy, and I think his products are good. I think he'll do a lot of X's, and I have a big part of my portfolio in Pulse Chain and a little bit in Hex and Richard Hart products. Yeah. It's basically Ethereum. It's a fork of Ethereum. Cheaper fees. It's faster. You get a copy of all your ERC20s if you held it on a decentralized exchange or wallet, and it's a better version of Ethereum. Yeah. No,
he's done a great job, and all the promo aside, if you listen to what he says, he's a really smart guy.
Yes.
And I like him, actually. I like him. I've learned a lot from watching his videos, popping on a podcast when I was in the car. I don't know if he does them anymore, but this is, back the last bull run.
Yep.
My buddy Matt, he put like 5,000 in and got over $1 million return and crushed it with Hex.
Dude.
Yeah. So
that's what's so cool, man. You see these stories and you're obviously a very successful entrepreneur. Putting your money in Bitcoin and Ethereum is such a good wealth preserver. We talked about it at the fights. You're putting money in there, and you're putting money in your bank, and the money you're putting in crypto, even on the dips and in the bear market, you're seeing an exponential increase over time. And it just shows it's actually beating inflation doing that way. And it's a wealth preserver. Yeah. And it's honestly, I'm sure you have it on a cold wallet, a ledger, and it's, you're basically being your own bank.
Yep.
And then on the other side, like someone like me trying to come up in the game, I'm looking for the next Shiba Inu. I'm looking for the next Dogecoin because I'm trying to put in, I'm not trying to bet the farm to buy the farm. I'm putting in a couple $1,000 because even my partner, he's a Shiba Inu millionaire from $1,000.
Oh, nice.
And I'm talking, 8 figures he cashed out. So, for someone like me, I'm looking to find the next coin before it's on centralized exchanges, buying the number one block or the number one meme coin on Stacks, which is the new layer 2 of Bitcoin. Now they have Bitcoin as meme coins, all these different altcoins. So I'm looking for that. I have a lot of money in crypto, and after the bull market, I'll take my profit and then I'll be buying Ethereum and Bitcoin on the lows, and that'll be my wealth preserver.
Yeah. That's what I did the last, 2 years was just dollar cost average. Plus we took a payment in Bitcoin and Ethereum, which was about 3% of our revenue, 3 to 5%. And so we did pretty good on that. And I think our average the last 2 years about 24,000 a Bitcoin. So, it's awesome. I mean, I wish that Coinbase had a credit card that you could just use directly out of your Bitcoin or a check card. Because I would just keep all my cash, everything on cold storage, but my monthly payments and stuff on my Coinbase, because I trust that much more than I trust the dollar.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of a crazy thing a lot of people don't know. And we'll go even further back in my testimony later in my story. But when I was injured, I got a bad concussion after my fight with Almamedov. That guy, he's ranked like number 5 now. And when I fought him, I got he did a switch knee when I was throwing an overhand, caught me right in the eye, rocked me good, gave me like 9 stitches. But I had no symptoms after that. I felt fine. There's something about the adrenaline when you fight that protects your brain, protects your body. And I felt fine. But I went back to training 3 weeks after that. And I was sparring like 9 rounds. Like I shouldn't have been sparring so much. I should have been like, hey man, first week back, you know. And I threw a lazy body kick, and it just kind of got blocked and spun back. And one of my teammates threw a head kick at the same time. Boom, caught me, sat me down, went home. Light sensitivity, anxiety, nauseous, you know, every concussion symptom in the book. And I was like, and it's just one of those things where you have to just go home, lay down, turn the lights off, and just sit there and just like, this sucks. I got to get through this. About 3 weeks in, I was like, you know, usually start to feel better after 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks. And, you know, I felt a little bit better, but I was pushing it, going back to the gym. I'm just going to roll, just going to drill. And it's something about when you have an injury and you go to the gym, it just gets hit when you try to protect it. I don't know why, because you're focused on it or something. Yeah. I'm drilling with my buddy and someone lands into me. I'm not even going live, but someone going live falls in me, cracks my head.
Oh, man.
And so just stupid stuff like this happened for a couple months. And I was like, dude, this is just getting worse and worse. And I was like, you got to go to the gym. You have a fight coming up. You need to pay your bills. Like all these thoughts are going in my head. And when I wouldn't train, it was that voice inside of me like, oh, you're being a pussy, bro. Like, come on, get back in there. You know, just that voice that we have. And I booked a fight with Sam Alvey. You know, nothing to take away from Sam's career, but I was like, you know, this is a good fight for me. This is a fight where I get a highlight reel back in the winning column and back on the trail. I was ranked number 9 in the world. I probably dropped down to top 15 at that time. And then I just kept having these symptoms, man. And finally I had to say to a point, I said, I am not going to the gym. Like that was a big decision.
Yeah,
because
it's tough.
Because I was going to the gym and I would sit in the car with anxiety. My body was so afraid to get hit in the head again.
Yeah.
I would sit there for like 30 minutes and then leave. And I started like almost like with my words. Sometimes I'll be driving. I'll be like, where am I? Like I have no idea what state I'm in or nothing. And like that stuff's scary. Anxiety would spike through the roof. And I was like, man, I have a serious problem. I have to stop going to the gym. I have to get well. Who cares about fighting at this point?
Yep.
And then, you know, I said, what can I do? And I heard about you guys and I reached out. Eric Anders had went down and got something done with his neck. And I knew you guys did it for concussions in the brainstem. So I called, I got my whole, you know, I went through the whole deal with the doctor, told him all my symptoms, came back, got a quote. And, you know, it was more money than I could afford. I could afford it at the time, but it would really make me strapped after that. So I was like, I don't even know if this will for sure work. Because I was just, you know, at the time, and I was like, can I really afford this? And that's when Marshall Roganinu, some meme coin of Joe Rogan's dog, came out, started paying all these fighters. And I'm looking on Twitter, I'm like, wow, I jumped on a Twitter space. They invited me up because I was a UFC fighter. And they're like, hey, man, what's going on in your career? And I just spilt the beans, man. I just told them everything. I was like, this is what happened. And I had this fight with Sam Alvey, and I had to pull out. And I trained for this camp. And, you know, I spent $10,000 and now we only get paid when we fight, and just told them the whole deal about stem cells. They hit me up after. They said, hey, and jump on a Telegram call. They're like, we're going to pay for your stem cells.
That's awesome.
And I was like, yeah, sure, man. You know, I didn't believe it.
Sure.
Here's my wallet. Boom. I looked at my phone. I was getting oil change at Toyota. I'll never forget. I just hit my knees. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I called Scott, and Scott called you, and he said, yeah, we take payment in Ethereum.
Oh, yeah.
Click of a button, boom, paid for. I'm going to Tijuana to get stem cells. And I was like, this crypto stuff is legit.
Yes.
So that was kind of the thing that got me hooked into crypto. So you were a big part of my journey into crypto,
That's
whether
awesome.
and you didn't know it. But I just saw that, and I was part of AMC, GME, and I saw how quick people were making money. I made like 50 grand. I thought that was insane. But I realized stocks don't do what crypto does.
No.
So I fully turned from that point on, and I was literally in your facility, and Chael Sonnen got on a Twitter space, and talked about this coin, bro. And he was like, money follows attention. And this coin's got all the attention. The coin did a 10X on the space. Chael gave the best shill you ever heard. And I was mind blown, man. And I had a full partnership with this coin, and it wasn't a scam, thank God. And it helped a lot of fighters, man. It was cool. Really cool times.
Yeah. What's been your experience, kind of ever since you've been, kind of in the crypto space? What's your approach to getting in on specific coins?
So now what I do is, you try to find, there's so many, everyone's multi-chain now. You got people on Solana. There's a full bull market going on Solana. AVAX, people are making tons of money over there. Ethereum is kind of more dead than it's ever been. I believe in crypto, everyone has their turn. You want to try to catch a few turns if you're lucky, but you have to hope that you're going to have your turn in crypto. So what I do is I try to find up and coming blockchains, like Stacks is a big one, just because of the whole Bitcoin narrative with the ETFs.
It's a layer 2 on Bitcoin,
It's a layer 2 on Bitcoin, but it's crazy. It takes like 30 minutes to an hour to do one transaction.
Oh, wow.
So they're doing an upgrade coming up in a couple weeks. So if that upgrade goes well, could be very bullish. I'm on a coin there called Welsh. It's the top. You were trying to get that generational Welsh. It's a corgi. It's a little dog. So I'm just trying to find top meme coins on different blockchains.
Okay.
Pulse Chain is teddy bear. Richard Hart streams in kind of a room like this, and he's got a Louis Vuitton teddy bear up there. So that's kind of the meme of that. You got Pepe for Ethereum. You got Dog with Hat for Solana. So you try to find these coins that people aren't talking about yet on blockchains that are going to be successful. Find the number one meme coin and invest in a few of them that you believe. And like I said, man, this is literally putting 500 to a couple $1,000 in this.
Yeah.
It's a lottery ticket to be at the end of the day. But man, if you don't hit on 9 of them, but you hit on 10,
right,
it's paying for that. You're hitting big.
Well, and there's a good chance too. That's like if you know what the top meme coins coming out, it makes sense that you're going to hit a lick. So you have for those that don't know a lot about crypto, Solana would be an operating system basically. Yep. Ethereum is an operating system.
Yep.
And those are the memes that you were talking about specifically. What was the one on Solana?
Dog with Hat.
Dog with Hat. That's hilarious. So if that's the meme for Solana, then it has a chance of ripping, and it probably will actually. Probably, has it already started popping?
It's like 3 billion market cap.
God dang.
It did and this is 1 month it did this. You also have Myro, which is the developer of Solana's dog.
Okay.
Myro. So that was the first one that really, I think that's like $2 or $3 billion market cap. Pepe's at like $4 billion market cap. And
so these things are already ripped, pretty much.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what people hit me up now. Oh, should I buy them like non-coiners? And I'm like, dude, you are exit liquidity. Do not buy that coin, because it's true, man. I mean, something does. You know how much people are in profit? Like even if you got in at 5-10 mil market cap, there's people that got in under 1 mil market cap, and now it's at billions of market cap,
right,
and they have millions of dollars, and they're just scaling out, cashing out. So
exactly,
you're trying to find that type of coin. You got to have a narrative. Which is, hey, it's the developer's dog, or it's dog season, it's cat season. You're trying to follow the meta. You got to have good developers. You got to grow a strong community with good branding, and then you got to have a bunch of marketers on it, pushing it.
That's awesome.
So,
well,
yeah,
I'm gonna try to get on some memes.
Yeah, we're gonna get you in some good ones.
This one that'll be
bull market. Yeah,
that'll be good. I love my Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I've got some Solana and ICP as well, but in the past, the last bull, I was doing a lot of different things, and but without the best strategy. Now that I've spent 2 years just studying, and the plan with Ethereum and Bitcoin, dollar cost averaging has worked very, very well.
Yes.
Now it's like, now you can understand the cycle once you've been through it. You're like, oh, this is what's going to happen, and if you really study it. So I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Yeah, it's a 4-year cycle. Everyone will say it's over when it's the bear market. And it's just so cyclical. And you realize that's kind of with politics, and you realize the world is, and it's honestly a game. And if you know how to play it, you will win and make a lot of money. And, right now they have all these pre-sales going on. Like this coin, $6 million in pre-sales. It went to 1.8 billion in one day. So it's just crazy. But then there's also pre-sales. They're raising 5 million and they just scammed. There's so many scams, man. This is probably, it's becoming a tough market because regulation is coming, and I believe this is the last Wild West bull run that we got going. So I'm trying to capitalize and move on with my life. I'm going to be more in the background, your style, dollar cost averaging and Bitcoin and Ethereum, and moving on, because it is stressful being in this space, and it's just, you get scammed all the time, and it's just part of the game, and then people think it's you, and so it's coming to an end, but we're gonna capitalize on it.
Good, man. Yeah. Just let it rip. Just go around, and then you can
just
let it
chill
with the Bitcoin and Ethereum in the future.
Just chill. Just sit back like you're doing, and just dollar cost average.
That's right.
Just watch your bank account. Woo, woo,
I love it, man.
I love that, man.
I don't ever watch it until it's going up, and then I'll get a text from my mom, because my mom knows. She's like, "Oh my gosh, it's doing this," and I look. I'm like, "Woo,"
Yes.
So it's been a lot of fun. But when it's not, I don't even worry about it. Like, it's not, to me, it's, I don't look at that account as in, I've got to, it's just like this extra
it's long term
big project, but it's, I don't worry day to day, month to month, even year to year. I wasn't worried about it last year. I was actually wanting it to go down more. I thought it was going to hit like 11,000. So I was like, oh man, at 12,000, I'm going to, put a big purchase in, and never got that low. So
I know.
Do you celebrate when it goes down? Actually, are you?
I mean, when it goes down, there's always opportunity.
Yeah.
It's just so psychological. Everyone cries, and the markets will play with your emotions. You have to go opposite. You buy the fear and you sell the greed.
Yep, exactly.
And most people can't do that. They can't separate their emotions from it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, like this little bull, we're gonna hit some rips with it, because it's a lot of fun to watch too once you get it. And I don't get emotional on it. I just enjoy it. I love like looking at it and understanding what it's gonna, what it's gonna do for society in the future, what the blockchain is gonna do for society, what Bitcoin. I look at Bitcoin as freedom. Yeah. With all the stuff that's going on with the banks and politics, Bitcoin is almost my way out. Yep. Of if shit could hit the fan, but I got my Bitcoin and I'm good. Yeah. That's kind of how I look at it. So.
Yeah, exactly, man. It is a way to, I mean, it sucks now because now institutions are trying to buy like 10, 15, 20% of all supply, and they will manipulate it. They will control it. But at the end of the day, you got your Bitcoin, and it's going to be really hard to own one Bitcoin.
Oh, I know.
And I think like they say like 1% of the entire world, or like less than 1% of the entire world owns one Bitcoin. So it's going to be very exclusive to get in that club.
Well, you think about all the millionaires on the planet right now, and there's not enough Bitcoin for every millionaire to have one.
No.
That's just one way to look at it. The sovereign wealth funds haven't invested yet. When they do, you're going to see it go crazy. I would be more surprised in 10 years if Bitcoin was at 100,000 than if it were at 1 million. I would expect it to be at 1 million. In 10 years. So, I mean, that's, yes, I'm bullish, but if you understand the markets and you see how they've operated in the past, it does just makes sense why that's more likely than even 100,000.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my predictions for this bull market, I think we're going to hit anywhere from 120 to 150.
Nice.
Conservatively. But once it hits around the 100, I'll be starting to take profits on some things, just because, I mean, you never know. Another scenario that could play out is it just be an extremely fast bull market, not go into 2025, skyrocket up and then dump down. And then they blame the Bitcoin miners and usher in all this regulation because mom and dads got wrecked mortgaging their house and buying it. Yeah. They're doing commercials and stuff on it. So you got to watch out, because whatever the herd thinks, it's usually going to be something different. So just have a game plan if you're in crypto. If it's a short Bitcoin cycle, have a bearish plan where you win, and have a bullish plan where if it goes to 500K or 1 million, you still have enough where you're like, I won.
You still got some.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll probably let, 25% over 250,000 of Bitcoin ride. That's about where my head is. But we'll start doing kind of dollar cost averaging out as it's going up.
Yep. And soon I mean, you'll be able to buy real estate with your Bitcoin and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that's a very good leverage.
Absolutely. You can buy real estate, but you could also, if you need to cash out, you can pull your liquidity out.
Oh yeah.
So
a few clicks of a button.
I know it's super super
it's
easy.
right in your bank.
Yeah. A lot of people don't, they don't realize how it is going to, change the future, how Bitcoin is digital gold.
Yep.
I mean, the gold market has about a $12 trillion or so market cap.
Yep.
Bitcoin's at 1.3 trillion ish right now. So, I mean, it's still at 11x away from gold.
Flipping gold.
And,
yeah.
I think we have a chance of doing it this cycle. I'm bullish, man. I'm like 600,
wow.
that's 650K a Bitcoin, would
be the price.
That.
Yeah. That would be insane.
It wouldn't shock me. I would be more surprised if it were at 100,000 in 18 months than 650,000. But
yeah, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, but you have a plan.
Bitcoin to the moon,
have
baby.
Have a plan. Bitcoin to the moon.
Bitcoin
all crypto.
to the moon,
Send
baby.
it all meme coins. Because there will be an altcoin season. When you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, when that thing goes down, that means money is flowing from Bitcoin into altcoins. And there will be about a 2-month cycle where you could throw a dart at anything and get a 10x.
Yeah, there will be.
Things are going to pop off. So it's going to be fun.
We should start our own meme coin. What do we do?
I wouldn't start one personally just because I'm a marketer and there's a lot of baggage that comes with that.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm just talking out of my ass right now.
But if you know a guy, I could
I don't actually.
market
I'm
it.
like, we should do a freaking meme coin. A BTC2M.
Yeah, right?
Bitcoin to the moon.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I love it. Well, man, you flew in from Florida. Thanks so much. You and your wife, really appreciate y'all coming in. And,
we appreciate you, man.
Spending some time here in Nashville.
Yes.
Your story is one of my favorites. And we did a podcast a couple of years ago with Scotty.
Yeah.
And I was just shocked to hear it. I was like, I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what? And now I'm like, oh, it would be amazing to interview you again and just kind of, I am knowing what to expect, but get to dig in, even more. We are more of a time limit there as well. So your story is one of the most inspirational. I think there's going to be a movie on it one day. I think that when the masses really hear it, it's almost unbelievable, but it can be verified and it's true. So pretty wild. Today it's 2024. How old are you?
I'm 35.
You're 35, Christian man, turned your life around. But just, how many years ago did you get back to the U.S. and go to Rikers, for instance?
Yeah, so 2014, Valentine's Day. So I just hit my 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, so 10 years, of turning your life back around or give or take. But, 10 years and 20 years ago, it was a lot different. And 15 years ago, it was a lot different.
Yes.
13 years ago, you're in a prison somewhere in Europe, if my timing's about right.
Yep.
So truly incredible story that I think can make a big difference in a lot of people's lives if they hear it. Talk a little bit about, people know you as an MMA fighter and you're doing your crypto stuff now. Talk about previously where you were, 20 years ago or so, or maybe your childhood going into how you got into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. I'll just kind of give you, obviously we could be here all day talking about the whole testimony, but I was born in Denver, Colorado, and, pretty young age, like 11, moved to Parker. It was kind of like southeast Denver. And, very talented in sports and just very active. And my dad got me into wrestling. And, I started wrestling late compared to, how you see most people start when they're 4, 5, 6, 8. I started at 11 years old and just decided to kind of put down everything else. Said, wow, I really want to pursue this wrestling. I really like it. But I just continued to get in trouble in high school. Just very active kid, very hyper, never could sit still. The doctors would say ADD. And my parents got to a point, and back in the day, they would just say, well, take him to the doctor, see if something's wrong with him. Because it was like habitual troublemaker, in trouble all the time. So they took me to a doctor, a traditional doctor. oh yeah, he's got ADD, ADHD, and we're going to give him Adderall. Well, I come from a long line of addiction. My father, my uncles, my cousins, still struggling with addiction to this day. And so they gave me Adderall, and I was instantly hooked. You know, I was taking it in a small dose, and I was like, wow, it feels good. And I kept telling them, I don't feel it. I don't feel it, until they maxed out the dose on me. So I was taking Adderall, and that turned into drinking, and then that turned into smoking weed, and ended up doing cocaine, very young age, ecstasy, all the things I could get my hands on.
How old were you when you were doing the cocaine, when you started doing cocaine and ecstasy?
Like 15, 16 years old.
Gotcha.
And, you know, I mean, that's a young age to do that kind of drug. And so I'm doing all these hard drugs at a very young age. My junior year, I'm driving home from a party, drank a bottle of Southern Comfort, sniffed some lines, seeing double. I used to do this trick where I leaned to the left and closed one eye to see the line so I wouldn't see double. Fell asleep behind the wheel, drove off the road over a curb, missed a tree by a foot and a sign by a couple inches. And for me, this was a big wake-up call, and one of many times God had, you know, spared my life. After that, I didn't get in trouble because I just got out and ran. I woke up and my foot was still on the gas. My wheels were spinning. So I woke up and I ran home, miles home, and didn't get in trouble. But my parents were like, yo, he's going to kill someone. He's going to kill himself. And so they called this rehab. It was called Turnabout Ranch. So yeah, so I got sent to this place called Turnabout Ranch. And this kind of is inspiring me because I saw the benefits that I had, and I saw some things I could actually do better, because, you know, it really was an eye-opener. So I came home from a party one night. My mom was being all weird, like, hey, you gonna come home tonight? And I'm like, yeah. And basically these two big football players tied me up, threw me in the back of a van, drove me to Utah, put me in a circle of rocks, said, take your shoes off. I had to start fires with a bow drill, sleep on a wood plank. They gave me a horse. I mean, it was a good life experience. I ended up marrying a ranch girl, and that was kind of my experience into the ranch life, because I lived it for 3 to 4 months. I came back from this. Even in all the time and all the partying I was doing, I was a 2-time state champ. I took second my freshman year. Took second at Ironman Tournament of Champions. I was an All-American in freestyle and Greco. So the problem was, too, because after that night that I fell asleep behind the wheel, I had a wrestling tournament. I showed up hammered, drunk, mud all over me, somehow made weight, didn't even change clothes from the night before, and ended up winning the tournament. My dad hated that because it was like affirming to me that I could party and still win.
Right.
So after high school, or going into my senior year, I just was a habitual offender. I got expelled from high school. So I was pretty lost, very lost as a kid, and just trying to figure out what to do. Continued to train, ended up going to senior nationals, took 4th in the country, was getting swarmed by college scouts, got a full ride scholarship offer to Boston University. I mean, I was getting letters from Stanford, Harvard, Yale, handwritten letters, and then they saw I was expelled, and they're like, see ya.
Right.
So I ended up going to a junior college in northern Idaho. First day there, walking down the street, hammered drunk, get stopped by a cop on a bike, writes me a ticket for littering. I rip it up, throw it in his face. Then writes me a ticket for drinking. I rip up the ticket, throw it in his face. Then he writes me a ticket for littering. Then I run, get caught, spit on the car, get 4 charges: littering, drinking underage, evading arrest, and disturbing the peace. So just kind of show you the state I was in, man. I was just drunk.
Were you mad?
Yeah, very angry.
What were you mad about, you think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just had some demons in me, man. The spirit of addiction was just controlling my life. And, you know, maybe there was something inside me that hated it, you know, because I knew I had potential. I knew I had a big calling on my life, and I knew I was just wasting it. There was something always about it, though. I would always watch Mike Tyson's knockouts. I would always watch UFC 1, like, videos. Like, it was something about fighting that was in my heart where I was like, wow, I could do this. I could do this. I'm going to go train. I would maybe go once or twice to a random MMA gym, but I was partying until 4 a.m. at night almost every night. So it was no consistency. So after school, I was broke. I was, didn't know what the heck I was going to do with my life. I got this full ride scholarship to Northern Idaho, even though I was messing up, and I got all these charges. I flew out there, went to school for a couple months, drank away all the money. I mean, they paid for my books, my housing, my college, like everything. All I had to do was wrestle. And it was just another opportunity I blew. And in this time, it was 2008. My parents had just got divorced. It was the housing market crash. My parents had put on a $500,000 addition on the house, sold both of their rentals to do it. And then the housing market crashed and they couldn't even sell their house for $300K. It's now worth $1.5 million. And so they basically lost everything. So I was back in Denver after I just ruined my college opportunity. And I had petty warrants for my arrest. And this girl hit me up that I used to date in high school. And she said, come out to Canada, to Vancouver. You can be my prom date. I'll fly you out. I'm like, let's go. So I went out there, ended up falling in love with Vancouver. It's such a beautiful city. And I put in my resume, which had like my wrestling accomplishments, on Craigslist because I was like, I want to live here. And some random guy or like company hit me up and they're like, all right, meet me downtown. So I'm like walking downtown, big high-rise building. I step into this place. Have you ever seen the movie Boiling Room?
Yeah, I think.
With Ben Affleck?
Yes.
And he does that whole, so it was like that spiel, or it was like Wolf of Wall Street spiel. And it was selling fixed rate contracts for natural gas. We were locking them in at a higher rate because gas is going to go up. And we were saving the world. This guy had us convinced, man. So I got this job doing door-to-door sales. I'm making $2,000 to $4,000 a week. It was very valuable because if you don't know about door-to-door sales or even sales, it's such an important asset. Like the skills that you learn are incredible. So I'm doing this for a while. I knock on this chick's door. They open the door, 5 chicks in there. Oh, he's cute. And they pull me in. I sign them all up. And then this girl's like, she just broke up with her boyfriend. You need to take her home. And this chick was crying, ended up like dancing, drinking, taking her home to her house. We're sitting there drinking a bottle of wine, pound on her door. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh, what's going on? So she runs and it's like a sliding glass door because she lived on like a duplex and she was upstairs. She opened the curtain. It was her ex-husband.
Oh.
He had been blowing her up all night and she was obviously ignoring him. So he showed up. So then he saw me and started going crazy. He's like, I'll kill you, blah, blah, blah. And so I'll come to the door. I'm like, you want me to go out there? You want me to go out there? He's like, yeah. And so I slide the door open just enough for my fist to fit through. Boom, punch him in the nose. He falls back holding his nose. I jump full mount and I'm just slapping him. Like, you going to go home? You going to be chill? Just holding him down because his 2 kids are sleeping inside.
Oh, jeez.
But then he just grabs me by my balls and twists.
Oh.
And like, I snap. I lift him off the ground. I hold him over this 2-story balcony and he's like, and I hear the girl, she's like, no. So I just like step over, hip toss him into this table. And then I grab him by his pants and the collar of his shirt and take him to a flight of stairs and roll him down the stairs.
Wow.
Boom, he leaves. I move in with this girl 10 days later.
Oh my gosh.
She's 36 years old. I was 19. She told her kids I was just a roommate. So, I mean, this is crazy times, right? I'm living with her. Everything's going well. You know, I bought a car. I'm making money. I got the girl. And 8 months later, I hear a pound on the door similar to the ex-husband. So I'm like, oh my gosh, he's back, round 2. Wake up. It's like 7 a.m. in the morning. Come to the door. My boxer's like ready to go. And it was immigration. This guy had been digging into me and figured I was working illegally. I crossed the border illegally because I had a DUI. So he had called immigration. I ended up sitting 4 nights in a prison cell because it was a Thursday and Friday was a holiday. And it was when Brock Lesnar fought Cain Velasquez because I was so excited to see that fight. And I got out, man, and it was crazy because I got out and I was so mad, bro. And I was like, man, I'm going to get deported, this and that. My girl bailed me out. She put $5,000 cash to bail me out because there's no bail bondsman, which wasn't a lot, but at the time it was. And we went back to her house. She said she was hooking up with some guy while I was gone because I was looking for my ecstasy and I wanted to do it. And so I guess I drank a bunch of tequila, trashed the whole house. And the kids woke up the next morning really mad. So she jumped on me full mount and was punching me.
Oh my gosh.
And all I knew, because I was on Xanax and doing coke and tequila. So all I knew whatever was happening, I wanted to stop. So I like pushed her off me and she like screamed. She's like, I'm calling the cops. And I grabbed her most expensive bottle of wine because she was a wine dealer. And I ran towards the beach. Police cut me off, rolled over the car,
my gosh.
Broke the bottle. Apparently I attacked them. They beat me up so bad, bro. I mean, if it was America, I was probably get shot. You know, they stomped me. They put me in the back of their paddy wagon. And I made front page of the Vancouver Sun, which is like their main newspaper. I did about 8 or 9 months in jail over there. And then they deported me back to the States. So I get back to the States, back to zero, man. I'm broke. Now I just got kicked out of a country.
Did you go back to Colorado?
Yeah, they sent me back to Colorado.
Okay, so you're in Colorado. And you're like 20 years old now, or is it?
Yeah, so I'm about 20 years old.
Okay.
So, and just going back to the doctors, man, because they prescribed me Adderall when I was 13, and then I was shaky at night. So then they prescribed me Xanax, 2 milligram Xanax bars when I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
And when I went over to Canada, I said, these are my prescriptions. They faxed them over. They sat me down. They're like, you should not be taking this. They were like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
You should, like, you're healthy. You're like, something's wrong with these doctors.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy, man, how these doctors push those pills. And I mean, maybe they didn't know. I say they're either ignorant or evil.
Yeah.
But
I think with like with the Adderall, I mean, it's very overprescribed. I'm not saying that nobody needs it, by the
Correct.
way. I think that there are, cases where people need it. But the suggestion that all of these kids need to be taking it at the doses they're taking it at, and I was on Facebook and I was getting targeted for Adderall ads. Like, basically talk to this doctor. What symptoms do you have? It's like, click this button and we can set up a doctor call. And, it's like, I mean, you're getting marketed for Adderall. So yeah, anybody who's an addict is like, oh, this is illegal. This is a legal prescription here. There's nothing wrong. My doctor's giving it to me. It's like a way out, It
is.
And so it's definitely overprescribed.
Yeah, that's another heart I have, for really, because that's the issue, right? You're a drug addict, but you're like, well, the doctor prescribed it. I need this. Yeah. And then you have that mindset. And then you're like, you find out later, I was taking amphetamines at the age of 13, which caused a spiral downfall of me using all these different drugs because I was just searching for a high.
Yeah.
Because every morning I needed that rush of that Adderall. So I was like programmed. My brain was like, I had the monkey on my back at a very young age. And, it's just like you said, there is a place for medication. But these doctors are getting they're getting trips to Cancun, and you prescribe this many things, they're getting kickbacks and all that.
Well, you saw what happened with the opiate epidemic. I mean, that's the I was as evil as it gets with that.
You watched Dope Sick?
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, that's tough to watch, and you're gonna hear I fell into the opioid. So at this time too, 20 years old. So I came back. It was probably a God thing that I left the country after this, which I'm going to talk about, because I had 3 friends die from overdoses on opioids. Like good kids, like wrestlers, had good families, like you would never think, and they just started taking, the oxy, and then they couldn't get the oxy, so then they go to heroin, and then there's fentanyl in it, or they quit for a while, and then they relapse, and they do the dose that they used to do.
Yep. And they die.
When
people don't realize that too, the problem with the initial opiate crisis with the OxyContin was doctors would get patients on OxyContin, which is, basically like heroin.
Yes.
And they wouldn't be able to get their OxyContin prescription anymore or enough to get their fix. So they'd have to switch to heroin or they'd go through the withdrawal. And so it was really a doctor-induced addiction for most of the people.
Oh yeah. And they would, and now I don't feel it. Well, we'll just double your dose. And then you're going deeper and deeper down this hole because it's so hard to get out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm back in Denver, Colorado, 20 years old. Parents are split up, struggling. You know, I just got kicked out of a country. You know, my dad's partying very hard at this time. And, you know, I need to make some money, man. Because I grew up in a middle to upper class family. I had things when I was growing up, and now I had nothing. So I was like, I need to do this. So I had met some Guatemalans that were connected with the Mexican cartel in Canada. And Canada had the best, cheapest ecstasy. So started getting shipments sent over in the mail, FedEx, boom, boom, every week. And this was when the rave scene was really big. Me and my buddies would go out, we'd make a lot of money. So I was like, oh, wow, this is really working out. And this is kind of a Bitcoin story too. Now we're starting to send Western Unions back to Canada, to re-up. But we're doing it so fast now. Now they're starting to freeze our Western Unions. I'm using random girls. Here's $50, send this Western Union. They're starting to freeze any transactions coming from my city to their city. My boy hits me up. He's like, hey, man, buy this thing called Bitcoin and you can send it to us. And I'm like, what is it? And they're like, it's kind of like a stock. It'll go up and down. And I'm looking at it, 17 cents Bitcoin.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, man, I don't understand this. So he sends his buddy down with 100,000 pills in his trunk. And I'm just giving him cash. And this dude's posted up downtown. 8 months of this. We were hanging out with these chicks for a couple months. Ended up, one of them set us up. I don't know what she had going on. She said, hey, my buddy needs a couple thousand pills. We went to a Walmart parking lot. I could tell this Mexican cat gets in and he looked scared. He was shaking a little bit. The money didn't look like he had enough. I said, pull out and go to a McDonald's through the McDonald's drive-thru. She goes to pull out. Boom, smashed in the front, smashed in the back. DEA.
Oh, wow.
Jumped on us, freaking pistol to my temple on the pavement, looking at the broken Walmart sign. And I said, man, I'm going to jail for a long time.
You had a couple thousand?
A couple thousand pills. So I posted bail. I got out and I said, no way am I going to prison for this long. I was looking at 4 to 6 as a first-time offender. I was 19 years old. I said, you know what? They went to my grandma's house, she had an apartment, but she lived in New York. She got old enough, she never came back to. So we were just doing it out of her apartment, which is a terrible thing to do. But she was kind of abandoned it, and they took 30,000 cash. I mean, they took everything, and they didn't say anything. They just came and they like cut mattresses. I mean, like it was like full on like the movies. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to jail. I went to the post office and they issued me a passport. Then I took my phone, dropped it in water. I bought a ticket on the Greyhound to New York or Indiana. I said goodbye to my family there. Then I hopped on a train from Chicago to New York, said goodbye to my family there. There was one slipper where I owed someone $2,000 and I had put it in this just random slipper, and that was the only money they didn't find. I took that. I bought myself a ticket from JFK to Amsterdam with about a couple $1,000 in my pocket. Didn't know anyone. So I was now a fugitive on the run. Yeah. I made it only like a couple weeks in Amsterdam, ran out of money, called my cousin who had a buddy in Belgium. He said, hey, man, you go live with my buddy and find a job. So I took a train or a bus over to Belgium, ended up living there, working at an Irish pub for a little while. And, you know, it was doing all right. I was helping in the kitchen. I had worked there for about 8 months, kind of living a normal lifestyle. And they're like, where's your work visa? I was like, oh, yeah, it's coming in the mail. And then about 3 months in, hey, Ian, that work visa ever come? And I'm like, nah, man, you know how the mail is here. And they're like, well, you're a good worker, but if immigration comes, you got to hide in this closet. And I was like, wow, bro. I know the feeling now, like of how illegals feel here. Yeah. So anyways, I was working there. This crazy English guy comes and starts working at the bar. I'm in the kitchen. This kid had no family. This kid was just met this chick in Tenerife and ended up moving to Belgium. So we were working there for a little while. We kind of became friends because we were both kind of just crazy and running around. And one night, a bachelorette party came in and me and him were the only ones there. And we ended up just like trashing the place and partying with the girls. And we both got fired the next day. He printed out the Canadian newspaper of me. We made him pay. We went there. We walked to the register. We said, just pay us what you owe and you'll never see us again. And he said, don't worry, mate, I'll get us some jobs. So we took the ferry over to England And I didn't know his idea of us getting us jobs was us living in this apartment. It was a shell. No furniture, no hot water, no electricity. We basically camped in there and painted in the day. And I was like, dude, I don't want to live this life, man. Like I'm moving on. This is not for me. So we ended up getting a job at a club down in Sheffield, it was called. It was like Northern England. And we worked there for a little while. It was at a club. Hey guys, come into the club. He did some crazy stuff, tried to steal the safe at a club. I was like, I don't even know this guy. And we actually reunited in UFC London. And this dude ended up being on like 5 episodes of Behind or Below the Bow. It's like a series on, what is it, Joni? It's like Below Deck.
What's he doing? Hiding?
You're like a mate on a boat, and it's like a sitcom, or it's like a reality drama show.
Okay.
So anyways, we ended up meeting up, but we parted our ways there. I ended up hearing about this place called Tenerife, the Canary Islands. I made my way down there. It was paradise. It was beautiful beaches, beautiful women. And I walked down the beach and I got to the club area and I said, hey, you guys hire? And they said, yeah, you're hired on the spot.
Where is the Canary Islands? Where is that? Is that?
It's off the coast of Morocco.
Okay.
So it's not in the Mediterranean. It's it's basically like the Cancun of Europe.
Okay.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of opportunity there. I ended up working at a club for €1 a person that I bring into the club. So like my job was like, hey guys, if you all get a shot, I'll throw in this, blah, blah, blah. They basically paid me in drinks. I got 8 drinks when I worked, 4 drinks when I got off. So 3 months of this, I was a full-blown alcoholic, man. Really rock bottom, man. I was homeless. I couldn't even afford a €30 a week to live in a room with 8 other guys, cockroach infested. Like, it was bad. Like, I was sleeping on the beach. I was sleeping on the park bench. But there was this American guy there that I knew. He was from Miami, and his dad was Colombian. He said, hey, gringo, we think you got a future, man. We don't want to see you living like this. Like, you got potential, blah, blah, blah. Come live with us. 3 months with him, I just worked out. I got sober. They took me in like family. But then one day the dad sat me down. He's like, hey, gringo, you want to go make some real money? And I was like, yeah, I do. So we started taking the trips down to Colombia, Venezuela, Aruba, and we were getting kilos of coke. We were breaking it down, packaging it into packages, and swallowing a kilo and flying back home. So about my 4th trip in on Colombia, some random black guy comes up to me in the airport. He says, dame su pasaporte. And I'm like, no comprende, sir. Like, just try to act like a real tourist.
Right.
And he's like, secret police. And I'm like, oh. He's like, and he's looking at my passport. He's like, you like Colombia, huh? You come here a lot. I was like, yeah, I have a girlfriend here. He's like, yeah, sure, sit down. So sits me down to a sketchy looking dude and a beautiful Colombian chick. And I look at him like, where are we? What's going on here? And they're like, the X-rays, the X-ray.
Oh, yeah.
They told me in Spanish. So I am.
And you're in Colombia right now.
I'm in Colombia.
Okay.
And I didn't know at the time, but I'm looking at 8 to 14 years in Colombia with what I had.
Oh, wow.
They told me only 3 to 5. And then they told me there's a special paper on it that the X-ray doesn't pick up. I thought they were just saying that to BS me. So I'm freaking out, but I'm just trying not to panic right now. I'm like, just play it cool, man. I'm the first one to go up. I go up, put my hands up. They took me to a big room in the Bogota airport. It's about a room this size, big room, and this machine, and it was like a treadmill. And I walk out of this. I'm terrified.
Yeah.
And they say, tiene buen día, Senor Heinisch. They say, have a good day, sir. And I signed and I fingerprint and I walked out of there, and the adrenaline dump that I had could compared to winning a UFC fight. Like, bro, I was like I felt like I could jump 10 feet high, and I was like trying not to like walk weird, but I would like sprint and then walk weird. Like I was like, yeah, I mean, it was a rush, bro. And then I got on the plane.
And so they didn't get you there?
No, the paper worked.
Wow. What was it? So you just put...
It was like, it's like the metallic, wrapping paper, how it has the color, and then on the other side, it's like that. It looks like snowflakes, but it's all like, it was that.
Oh, you had it wrapped in the cocaine wrapped in that.
So you would compress it into 10-gram balls like this, and then we'd have surgical gloves, and you would first do a plastic, and then you put it in the surgical glove. We'd tie it, cut it, turn it upside down, put it back in the surgical glove, 4 layers of the surgical glove. And then they would put the paper around it. And then you would take like silfame, like the real smooth plastic, and put around it. And then you put it in like, with like yogurt and stuff, and just
wow.
Like wake up like 6 to 8 hours before your flight, before you had to leave, swallow 4 or 5, walk around, swallow 4 or 5, walk around until you get, and my buddy, the guy I was with, he's like, 1 more. He's like 10 grand, swallow 2 more. And like, so I'd be like, so you'd swallow as much as you could.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
And how much did you get per one?
So the first time I went, I was just like basically a mule, 7,000 euros, everything paid for. For me, it was like a free vacation. Plus I got paid. And then the Colombian guy's like, hey man, you can work for yourself, but you have to bring this certain amount for me. So then I was making like, I mean, you spend $1,000 on a kilo and you sell it, you break it into 2 kilos, it's still good product. You sell it for 70,000 euros. So you're basically 1,000 to 100,000.
And you would be able to get back a kilo ingesting it?
Yeah.
Wow. My Lord.
We'd each get close to a kilo.
Just hoping that it wouldn't explode in your stomach too, because you'd be dead, of course, at that point.
Yeah, and like one time I got deathly, it was like one of the first times. The first time was the scariest because they sent us to Cali, Colombia. And the guy wasn't with us. It was just me and his son. And it was with like his girlfriend's brother. It was like sketchy dudes. I was in like the most ghetto place in Cali, Colombia. Like we were at the mall in Chipichapa in this casino, and we were like, yeah, we're in this neighborhood, and they're like, no, don't go there. Like it was crazy. Like it was like dirt roads, but like they loved me there. They were like, gringo. Like I was like the gringo on the block. And for some reason, maybe it was because of the people I was with. It was like dirt roads, piles of trash, homeless, and then there'd be like the most beautiful girls walking around, and then it would be like all these dudes hanging out, and then all of a sudden they would just take off running, and police would be chasing them down these alleys. Like it was crazy. You'd hear gunshots. It was crazy, but we didn't wrap our first batch.
Yeah.
And I got deathly sick that time because like we went up into the jungle in Colombia, and like I had like one of those sombreros on, and I asked this little kid, I was like, where's the guerrilla? And he's like, ahí, which is like the guerrilla is like the cartel. So I asked him, I was like, where are they? And he's like, over there. And I was like, it's like they see a white boy, and like all the little kids would surround me because they never seen a white boy. And like it was like a crazy experience. After that, we kind of did it better where we wrapped our own stuff. I felt a lot better.
Sure.
But I came back and I got deathly ill, and I started like feeling like I was fainting, and I was like, this is it. I'm going to die.
Yeah,
like I thought I was just going to foam at the mouth and die. So after the secret police guy x-rayed us, then I started to feel invincible.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are they going to do? X-ray us?
Yeah.
Like I beat the x-ray. The paper works.
Yeah.
So we used to do 3 months. Now I was doing 1 month.
Wow.
1 month. And, as fast as you make money, as fast as it goes. About 15 trips. Finally, I flew back to Tenerife. They took me in the room. They questioned me. Why do you come here so much? And it was very odd because I didn't have credit cards. I just had cash. And I was like, I'm a rich American. I have girlfriends. My parents Western Union me money. And they're like, rich people don't use Western Union.
Right.
So they let me go. My girlfriend came in. That checked out. They let me go. We walked down. The Colombian guy was waiting in the parking garage for us like an idiot. He should have jumped on a taxi and got out of there. Boom. Drug task force jumped on us. Instead of taking us to the x-ray in the airport, because they didn't have one, they took us to the hospital. And that was the real x-ray. Boom, the plaque, don't move. And I was like moving and stuff. Like, no, don't move. I'm like, I'm not. And I'm like, and then finally they laid me down so I couldn't move. And they saw it, and it was like, they couldn't really see it, but they saw this little, and it was this beautiful Spanish girl, and she's like, and they're like the drug people I was like, my girlfriend's crying. I'm a tourist here to come spend money in your country. I was just being an asshole to them. And they're like, we're so sorry. We didn't see anything. They're looking. And the medical director's like, you have drugs in your intestines. What is it? Heroin, cocaine. She's screaming at me in Spanish. And I was like, nah. I was like, no, it's not. No. She's like, it is. It's seguro. And I was like, nah, I had Chinese food. Because it looked like a little circle. And they're like, yeah, shut up. Boom, handcuffs. Hospital for 3 days, making me drink this X-Lax.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad because I felt really bad for the girl because she had nothing to do with it. And she was going to jail too.
Oh, man.
But I said everything. I was like, she had nothing to do with it. She doesn't even know. They let her go. But her son like got left at school. Like it was a deal, man.
It was a mess. So that's so that was in Colombia. You got arrested, or is that when you got over to Europe?
Spain?
Spain.
Yeah, Spain.
Okay, so you landed in Spain. They get you. You said in the airport parking lot.
Yeah, they first put me in the office, and then they waited for us in the parking lot to see who our accomplices was, and he was, of course, waiting there. He shouldn't have been, but
after you got out of the office, were you like, oh shit, I'm free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was that the first time you gotten stopped in Spain?
Second time.
Okay.
Yep. So I was like, because it all checked out. My girlfriend was there picking me up. She was a resident. So yeah, then I got taken in there. I sat 2.5 years without a trial, or 2 years without a trial or a court date or anything. Apparently they can keep you there 4 years.
Wow. So okay. So Spain, it's not, you don't get like due process like in the United States.
No.
Like you're waiting for up to 4 years. You waited 2.5 years. Were you in a jail or
a prison?
A prison.
Yeah. So they sent you to the prison. And in this time, man, so I'm locked up, and it's like, man, I feel terrible. And I mean, anyone would, right? You're locked up, your whole life's upside down. And, there's so many times in my life when stuff like this happens, and it ended up being the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Because I started to sober up. I started to think more. I started to look around the people around me, and I said, I'm not like these people. There was a wrestling program. It took 3 months to get in. It was called Lucha Canaria. It was like Senegalese, African-style wrestling in a sandpit. Best out of 3 takedowns, no weight classes. You had to eliminate the whole team in a sandpit, like a gladiator sandpit. I walked up to the coach. I showed him my ear.
This is in
the prison.
So there's what's it called again?
Lucha Canaria.
There's a Lucha Canaria wrestling team
program
inside the prison in Spain.
Yes.
Okay.
So the coach ended up being the father of Juan Espino, who was a UFC fighter.
Okay.
I had no idea at the time. Juan Espino is like the GOAT of Lucha Canaria. Like he's like the man. And his dad, who was his coach, is locked up for like 50 kilos.
Okay.
So he's coaching the wrestling, and I roll up to him, and usually got to sign all these papers and petition why you deserve. I pointed to my cauliflower ear. He said, yep, you're coming. So I started wrestling the team, me and one other crazy American, and we're the only Americans there, and he wrestled in high school too. So we were just going at it, and I fell in love with wrestling again, man. They had a professional team that gets paid, come off the streets and wrestle us, and we beat them.
Oh, wow.
We freaking beat them, man.
How was it how were the other wrestlers on your program in prison?
There was a few Senegalese Africans who do similar style.
Okay.
Pretty good. Most of them were junkies, so they weren't that good, but there was a few guys who actually did it when they were younger, and they were good.
I see.
I broke 2 bones in there, 2 guys' bones. But honestly, I think it was because they were drinking the methadone.
Yeah.
Because one guy, I just had a overhook, and I was falling back, and I cranked it, and it broke his arm. And the other guy, I like hip tossed, and his foot planted, and it twisted, and went pop, pop, pop. And they're like, man, if you break another bone, you're done. But when we beat the team, we were on the front page of the newspaper.
Nice.
And they came up to me, and they were like, you love this, don't you? And I was like, I've done wrestling, I've done jiu-jitsu, but my favorite is Lucha Canaria. I was trying to play it off because I thought I was going to be the president of the Federation of Lucha Canaria. Wrote a letter to the warden of the prison and said, we want this American, we want to recruit him.
Oh, nice.
So keep him on the island. So when he's out, we're going to give him a contract.
This is while you're waiting to get sentenced. Okay. So that's a 2.5 year period.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, about a 2-year period. Because me and the Colombian guy, we kept looking at each other. We're like, maybe the coke was fake. Maybe we're gonna get out. You know, like we didn't know. It was weird.
Right.
To be locked up and have no idea.
Yeah.
Your lawyer doesn't know. The embassy's a joke. Like it was pretty, but I just took care of it. I mean, I was like, it was good for me because I was like, train my mind, train my body and my soul every single day. I was reading books. I was seeking the Lord and I was training. It was a full fight camp for me. And like God just kept putting in my heart. He's like, you're going to be UFC champ when you get out. And I would tell these guys this and they're like, there was a kickboxing program. I started kickboxing. That was my first ever like introduction to kickboxing. Moy Moses was there. He was the K1 champ. He was locked up. The day he got out, he used to beat me up bad and then I would wrestle him. He wanted to do MMA, so I traded him my wrestling skills for some of his kickboxing. And he really helped me out. He pieced me up a lot though. And the day he left, this guy came who was training in Thailand. This is probably some of the issues why I had concussions, because I would fight these guys super hard and get like my bell rung hard. And then it would be siesta, which was like 4 hours in our cell, and I would just go to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so it's probably not best for the brain, but anyways, it was full fight camp for me, man. And I was like, man, I might do this Lucha Canaria. I might stay here in Spain until like because the goal was always to have statute of limitations. I was always hoping that my charges, I heard it was 5 years, then I heard it was 7 years, then I heard it wasn't at all. So I was just always, I looked into joining the French Foreign Legion before I got locked up because my buddy was in there. And just ended up not doing it. But I turned literally the whole prison experience into a fight camp. I was training every day. I was training MMA, then I was training wrestling. And there was a lot of people in the higher ups in the prison that were like racist, you could say. They were like, screw this American. He beats us at our own sport. Like they were pissed. So after another Lucha Canaria tournament where they had a team come from the outside, we didn't win that time, but they told me don't talk to the media, and I still did an interview, and I was saying how much I love it. And I woke up in the morning, this chick warden came in, threw this bag in my face, pack your stuff. They didn't tell me they were going to move me. I had terrible vision at the time. I got LASIK now. Like I couldn't see my wife. Like I couldn't see far. Like it was like -6 or something crazy, like really bad vision. And my buddy was bringing me contacts, and I had a girlfriend, and we were doing like, eventually she stopped coming after a while, but I had like kind of help on the island. And then they threw a bag at me, pack your stuff, you're leaving in 30 minutes. Boom. Sent me to the airport, locked up. These gangster police with like ski masks came, like open your mouth, like straight up Con Air style. Like we're at the airport shackled like this. Like if you looked up, they whacked you in the head. They dug in my mouth with their fingers, took our shoelaces off, and put us on they rented a commercial jet, and they all put us on it. And we had to sit with our head down.
Was this a commercial jet that was just yours? Or was it like there's other people?
No. It was just convicts, murderers, rapists, cartel. Like it was bad. They were shipping us to a different prison, to the mainland. And anytime you lifted your head up, wham, they would smack you in the head. And it was funny because I just watched Con Air a couple weeks before this. And anyways, we were landing, and I was like, he's got the whole world in his hands. And these Bermudan guys started dying laughing, and they beat me up for it. But I was like, man, it was worth it. We landed on the plane. I was like, I'm going to get to tell this story someday. I was getting like an adrenaline rush. I was like, just do it, bro. Just do it. That's hysterical. And I knew the guys like 3 rows ahead, they started laughing, and they got hit with the stick too.
So what they did is they were hitting you with a stick?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And if you like lifted your head up to look around, they'd whack you.
Was this Spanish?
It was like secret, like it was like their it was like their FBI or secret forces, or like, I don't know.
It was from Spain.
It was from Spain, yeah. So then we get to this prison. Basically, they transported me to this place called Leon. And I got there, and they had a boxing program. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. So I started boxing, and this old champion guy had been locked up for like 20, 30 years, started training full time. You could have a couple activities in the day, and I would pick all boxing. So I would do like 3-4 hours of boxing a day.
That's awesome.
Eventually they set me up with a few fights, and it was like the movies, man. They would come bet on it.
Where are you now again?
In a place called Lyon.
Okay, so you went from the Canaries to Lyon. Where is Lyon?
It's like the north of Spain.
North Spain.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like the top of it. Small farm town.
And you still hadn't been convicted of anything yet?
No, that's when I had been convicted.
Oh, so they convicted you. Yeah, that's why they got you.
Yeah, so I did about 2 years in that one. Then they slapped me with a 3.5-year sentence.
Okay.
And then they shipped me to the north of Spain.
Did you get 2 years off of good time for time already served?
So I signed a paper that I won't come back to the European Union, which I thought it was only Spain at the time. That's why I had so much issues fighting in UFC London.
I see.
But it was the whole European Union. I signed a paper. It was called extradition or something, where if I didn't come back to Europe, they would give me 1/4 of my sentence cut off.
Okay.
And they would deport you. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll never see me again.
Yeah, exactly. So we get to the north of Spain. I start this boxing. I fight these like Russians. Like I lost. Yeah, I remember even losing a fight there because like this dude he had like 20 years in prison and all he's been doing is training.
Yeah.
So like these guys were good, man. But it was a really good experience for me where I was like starting to get my hands and I was just loving it. I was like, man, I'm gonna get out, and I'm telling these guys, I'm beating up dudes, and I'm like, they let me start my own MMA program. Like I wrote all these papers. I had this guy. I was like, dude, write it in Spanish, all good. Why I should do this MMA program, and they let me do it. So I was teaching MMA, and the guards would show up, and if guys had an issue, I'd be like, come to my class where you guys can spar. And like, so people were walking around black eyes and stuff, and they're like all happy. And it was pretty wild, man. Like it just opened my eyes, and you'll see why I have this dream of starting like a treatment center, almost a halfway house, because I know what it did for me. Because once I got locked up in the States, it just turned me into an animal. Like all the people in there was nothing for them to do. Let's just sit around, and if he uses my toaster or chair, we're gonna stab him.
Yeah.
Like that's their mindset. But when I was locked up over in Europe, I got to wear my street clothes. I got visits, like normal visits, and I was able to train. I was able to do activities.
Yeah, so you started a boxing, or rather you started in a boxing program that they had for the inmates, and then you petitioned the warden to be able to start an MMA program?
Yes.
And they said yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when they said yes, how did you get mat, or did you get mats, or how did that work?
They had like tatami.
Okay.
So we just laid it out in this little gym area. And we just started like with wrestling, and then we were doing some jiu-jitsu, and then we started doing the striking, and we were just running it, and they would just come in and watch us sometimes. And it was just like, they were good with it because no one complained.
Yeah.
Even though people would get black eyes and stuff, but no one would complain. Everyone loved it, man.
Sure.
And then after that, everyone was so chill.
Yeah.
We weren't aggressive towards the guards. We weren't starting trouble at night. We just wanted to train our MMA, get our food, maybe a little hash at night, and that was it. And it just shows like the mindset of prisoners, and they have no outlet for their aggression.
Yeah, for sure.
And you treat someone like an animal, they will turn into one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you'd think that'd be common sense, but
yeah.
I also understand the mentality of it. You don't want to give somebody that's locked up anything special, but at the same time, I think that idea is wrong because it does make sense. You're punishing them, but ultimately, it should be about the result. If someone's going to get out of them being reformed.
Reform.
Yeah.
There's no reform. It's a revolving door. It's a business.
No.
When you turn something like that into a business, I mean, these are statistics from years ago, but the average inmate, the government profits like $60,000 a year.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because
They're
your taxes
government
have
funding
to pay for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that the jails, I don't know about the prisons, but the jails are, they get money based on how many inmates they have. And the more inmates that they get, the more money they get. And it's, so they do benefit from more people being in there. And you think about all the people that have probably stayed in jail longer than they were supposed to. You know, people don't think about that. Like if you're locked up, I know when my brother was locked up, I got locked up after him, but same charges, but we went in on different times. And
can I ask what it was for?
Oh, ecstasy. Yeah, this is like 20 something. I was 3 weeks after my 20th birthday. I was facing 15 years in federal prison, and ended up getting an 8-year sentence with 8 months to serve, 8 years probation, 5 40-hour work weeks a year for 8 years of community service.
Oh wow!
I mean, it was no joke, man. In the end, but while he was locked up, they weren't letting people out with their good time, and so my mom wrote a letter to the state.
Oh, okay.
And the state jail board, whatever they're called or whatever. Yeah. And the entire state had to let out a bunch of people because they weren't, letting people out in time. And so my brother actually got let out that day.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, we let you out too early." They put him back in. It was kind of screwed up how that worked.
Oh, wow.
Like 48 hours
Imagine
later,
his mindset. I'm free.
I'm free. Oh, I got to go back in.
That would suck.
But no, the system is, and I got a trustee job. So I was like cleaning the jail.
Oh, wow.
And,
yeah.
You get more time off for that.
Oh, yeah.
So I was all about how can I knock off as much time as possible. That's the whole
here,
game.
bro. Same here.
But there were no programs of like boxing, or I would have loved to be able to teach MMA in there or something.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you look at, a lot of the jails too are first time nonviolent offenders as well, drug offenders. And, we shouldn't be treating addiction for the most part like we treat crime.
Yes.
Because it's, most of the criminals right now have drug problems.
Yeah.
And you're right. It is a revolving door. Now, I don't think that, if someone's a violent criminal, you got to protect society from them.
Yes.
So you want to have, probably different programs for those that are being violent towards others.
Correct.
But, drugs, it's like, why not? What we've been doing doesn't work. So we should probably try something different in 2024.
Yeah. Well, it used to be more of a reform. They took the weights out. They took all the programs out. Now, basically, all you can do is learn how to be a barber. And barbers don't hire felons like the corporate ones. So they're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could talk about that all day because it's just the difference between what I had and they were very lenient in a Spanish prison. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're locked up in a foreign prison." I'm like, thank God. Because after I did another 6 months in this Leon, Spain, finally, they would do mental warfare stuff, though. They would say, "Oh, you're going to get out," and send you a letter. And then 3 months would go by. "Oh, you're going to get out. We'll send you a letter." Then a month would go by. And they would say this stuff, mañana.
This would be the jail guards, or who would be telling you mañana?
The guards and the
the courts.
The courts, yeah.
Interesting.
So they would really dig in the men. So you had to come to a point where you just didn't care.
Yeah.
That's how you would win. Because if you cared, they would put you on this roller coaster, and it was tough. Yeah. So anyways, then after they put me on a plane, they sent me to JFK. Mm-hmm. Commercial jet. I was free for the first time. People thought I was so weird. I was just walking around and oh my gosh, 2.5 years, I'm finally free. And I land though in New York, and I was like, uh-oh, here we go. They give me my passport because the flight attendant had to hold my passport. Mm. Now I'm a free man. Not for long though. In my mind, I'm thinking all these things. I'm like, man, should I just run for it? And I'm like, no, dude, 9/11, dude, they're not gonna. Said security's gonna be strong. So I just roll up, give them my passport. "Mr. Heinisch, how long you been out the country?" I'm like, "A while." They're like, "What's a while?" I'm like, 5 years. Mm. They beep it. It beeps red. Man. 1 second, sir. Come with us.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. Felony warrants. So they put me in the jail in the airport, and that was a crazy place, bro. They were I don't know if they're beating people and stuff, but I heard people screaming in there and trying to get answers, because people would show up with fake papers, and they had no idea who these people are, and they were fake papers. And but then they sent me to the Jamaica Queens jailhouse, and I was there for the weekend.
Jamaica Queens jailhouse. Okay, so Queens, New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible.
Yeah, I can only imagine. How long were you there for?
Drug addicts. 3 days.
3 days. Oh my gosh. So what day was this? It was like a weekend or something?
Yeah, it was a weekend.
So you had been in prison in Spain for 3.5 years, basically.
2.5.
2.5 years. You get out, you get on a plane back to the U.S. You're probably thinking in your head, yeah, they're probably going to stop me.
I was like, maybe they won't.
Maybe they won't. Yeah, you're convincing yourself. Maybe they won't. You get stopped, of course. They're like, oh, you have warrants. And now you're in Jamaica Queens jail in Queens, New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so I'm in this big room, and I mean, people are coming off heroin, puking, and it's a weekend, so it's just busy.
One room. How many people are in this
room?
room?
One room, probably 30, 40 people in a room this size. Wow. So I'm just in the corner.
It's brutal.
And, just sleeping in the corner.
How many other white people were there?
Zero.
Yeah, you're the only white.
Puerto Ricans and African Americans. Yeah. And I was like, finally I yelled at the girl. I was like, what's going on? Because they kept yelling. Like, people come in, people get called out. And they're like, shut up, you're a special case. Because I was a fugitive.
Damn.
So finally, I see the judge. The judge says there is no chance of bail. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. And then I get in this room, and my public defender, whatever they are, she's like, you need to go to protective custody. And I was like, why? She's like, you're going to Rikers Island. And I was like, I didn't even know what Rikers was. And I was like, so? I was like, in my mind, I was like, I've been locked up 2.5 years. Throw me with the wolves, I'll lead the pack. Like, that was my mindset. And so I was like, no, I'm good. As we're driving across this bridge, I'm like, whoa, this is an island. Like, cage after cage after fence after fence. And I'm like looking around like, wow. They're walking me to my pod or whatever. The guard looks at me. He's like, man, you must be one bad white dude. I'm like, why? And he's like, we don't see you in this wing. And I was like, and in my mind, I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I was like, but I was like, yeah, you damn right. And, I was in maximum security in Rikers Island. So, I was with like the real troublemakers there. So they throw me in, and right away dudes rush my cell. Where are you from? Where you claim? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I want nothing to do with none of you guys. Get out. And it was tough, man. That was a tough couple months. And, like doing deals they wanted my phone time. And it was just like.
Wanted your phone time? What do you mean?
Just like stupid stuff. They're like, they're always trying to take stuff like, you get a certain amount of phone time. Oh, your phone. Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So you get in there, they rush your cell. Like what was the first, because you're not in a gang.
Yeah.
Are there other white people in that jail?
No.
So you're the only white dude in the whole maximum security of Rikers Island.
There was some white people. I ran into like 2.
Okay.
But not in this pod.
Okay. So this pod, you're the only white dude.
Yeah.
And so what was the talk? I mean, were they going to kill you? Was it like...
Well, they put a Snickers bar under my pillow. You never eat it because then you owe them something. So I said, take your stuff, bro. I don't want nothing from you guys. And it was a struggle, man. I was just like, dude, stay away from me. Like, and luckily I spoke Spanish. So I was like talking to the Latin kings. Like I was like really chopping up. Well, I didn't know what they were. I was just talking to them and like telling them where I came from and what I was doing and like the connections I have. And basically it was like that first day I had my tray of food and it was like all the gangs everywhere and I'm just walking.
Oh my gosh.
And and luckily the Latin guys were like, sit here. And I was like, thank God. Whew. Yeah. And it was all right, man.
So that's because if nobody lets you sit anywhere, like,
oh, they're gonna get you, bro.
Yeah,
they're just looking at you like he's with no one.
Yeah,
they're gonna abuse you, So, weeks go by, then they start doing this crazy thing, bro. They're like, they make me go to court. Heinisch, you're going to court tomorrow. Okay, shackled up, walk. pull your pants down, squat and cough, like do all that stupid stuff. Jump on a bus, get drove into Queens, sit in a nasty, disgusting jail, like a holding cell, fed these nasty peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, 8 hours. All right, we're going back. What? No lawyer, no judge? Like, no, like, what are we doing? They did this the next day. Then the next day.
Who is doing this?
I don't know. The jail or the courts or what. I don't know why they were doing it. It was ridiculous. And then finally the third day, I was like, no, I'm not going. They come up with tasers, okay, and fingers. I made friends with this Latin guy, and he's missing a couple fingers. They called him fingers. So I was like, dude, I'm not going, man, because I told him, I basically was like, told him to F off, and like they left, and then they came back. He's like, they're gonna come with tasers. You better go. They came with the tasers. I said, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And I came back, and I was just in a bad mood, man. And one of the gangs was like, hey, we're going to use your phone. I said, nobody's using my phone today. And I just went in my cell, and he's like, oh, really? And they see me shadowboxing in my cell because I've been training full time. He's like, you think you fight? We fight for real on the streets. And I'm like, sure, bro. Cool story. And so this dude finally, after I told him no for my phone, he's like, all right, meet me in the back. So I'm like, and this is a big dude. Like, so I'm like, all right, he's going to scrap. Like, we're going to do this. So I rolled back there, and he's like, boom, he pulls this nasty looking shank out, bro. And he's doing this, like, and I'm like, dude, no, bro, please, man. I don't want no problems. And I learned a few tricks. So I was like, I got real close to him, all scared, and like, please, man, please. Boom. Just caught him right on the chin, dude. Flattened him, face down. And then all his brothers came running up. 3 little Latin dudes getting in front. And I took my shirt off. And I wrapped it around my hand because I was ready to grab knives because I knew I thought they were just going to be like, because I saw this happen, bro. Like a Crip came in one time, and, you know, they're from the opposite gang. And, bro, they just stomped him out. Like where he was laying there for like 20 minutes in pool of blood. And like they would like come around and soccer kick him in the face when he was out cold. And the guards are sitting there eating sandwiches, watching TV. Wow. The guards would come in and be like, what up, blood? What up, blood? What up, blood? So the guards were in the same gang as these guys. They were friends from the block. Apparently when Obama put in this like new law where like they need to have like Section 8 give them government jobs, the ones with clean records got all these jobs. So they're guards in there.
Wow.
So it was bad, bro. Like, I mean, like people were dying like a lot. Like, and guards were real nasty too. Like someone would be getting dragged down the hallway as you're walking, and you have to put your face against the wall. And the guard came up to me and went, ah, in my ear. Like, and I was like, and I turned around, then he pulled his nightstick out, turned around. Like why, bro? And he was a white guard.
It's like, you scared me.
Like, yeah. like
what?
No, but like, why would he do that? Like, he's just trying to abuse you.
Yeah, of course.
And so these little Latin guys get in front of me, and they all have shanks. And the Bloods are coming up. They're coming up to fight. Like, they're coming up to stab me. And they're like,
so wait, so you had the Latin ones with the shanks, and the Bloods were also coming to stab?
So I dropped homeboy.
Okay.
And I don't want to say the gang affiliation.
Sure. But you're saying there was a Latin gang and then some other street gang coming at you. So 2 different gangs coming at you.
No. The Latin guys had my back.
Oh, okay. The Latin guys had your back. So
they stood in front and they said, you mess with white boy, you mess with us. He got heart. And I was just like, in my mind, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Like, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then they were like, the guards came, broke it up, put us back in our cells. Fingers are like cleaning the hall, sweeping the hall. He walks by my cell. He's like, hey, man. He's like, gringo, you got to get out of here, man. And I was like, why? And he's like, these Bloods are going to kill you, bro. Like, this gang, they're coming for you. And I'm like, what'd they say? He's like, they got a SOS. And I'm like, what's that? Stab on sight. It's like, wherever you go, they're going to get you. You ain't no punk. You got to go to protective custody, though. They're going to get you. So I call the guard over, and I'm like, guard. And I like hit the button, and they come over. And I was like, these guys are going to kill me. You have to get me out of here. And he has this smirk on his face. And he goes, F you, white boy, and slammed the door. I'll never forget that look he had in his face.
Damn.
So I was in my cell, dude, and we were like taking some boxing, me and fingers passing back and forth, like getting all high off this weird stuff. And I'm wrapping my hands. I'm making armor. I'm pulling the beds apart. Like, I knew they were going to open the doors and just let these dudes come in because they're their boys. And I seen them do this to other guys. So, like, I'm up just praying and, like, just, like, almost, like, hallucinating from whatever this drug I'm taking. And, like, so it's, like, 6 a.m. or it was, like, 5 a.m. The doors open at 6:30. Heinisch! And I pop up. And I'm all, like, ready, bro. Like, I had it all, like, I had everything tucked in my shirt. Like, I had armor ready. I had the mattress moved over. So I was, like, funneling through the hot gates. Like, I was ready to go. Like, and they were, like, looked at me so weird because, like, my whole place was turned upside down. They're like, grab your stuff. We got to go. And I'm like, who are you? And they're like, U.S. Marshal. And, like, bro, it was another time, God, it was just, like pulled me out of there. And they walked me past that hallway. And, like, all these dudes are like, wherever you go, we going to get you, white boy. In my head, I'm like, you ain't going to Colorado. And
like, I'm good. Peace.
So they walked me out of there, threw me in a van, shackled like this. And, dude, they drove to Pennsylvania, to Vermont, back to New York. 48 hours later, we're back in New York. Apparently, when they crossed borders, they would get paid more. Pick someone up, drop someone off, pick someone up. So they did this, circles around the country. So the heater was broken in the back seat in February in the East Coast. So every night, shivering, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't even sleep. I didn't sleep for 11 days. 11 days straight, I did not sleep. All they fed us was McDonald's and Burger King. It was fast food. And then they would only let you pee every 6 hours. You had to be at a jail. So I stopped drinking water because one time I had to pee so bad and we were like 2 hours away. I was like, dude, I have to pee. They bounced a Gatorade bottle off my head and I had to, like, pick it up, hit my knees shackled, and, like, piss all over myself. Like, it was embarrassing, bro. I was just like, dude, this is terrible.
This is some bullshit.
And there was, like, old guys on there, like, almost dying and stuff. Every 72 hours, they were required to put you in a jail. But for some reason, I had it unlucky. I would, like, lay down, like, thank God I get to sleep. Heinisch, you got to go. And, like, so, like, I constantly, for 11 days, was on a bus like this. And that was bad, bro. Like, that was probably the worst part. Like, I looked.
No lawyer. You didn't know what was going on.
No phone. No one can know where you're at.
Wow.
Because, like, you basically lose touch with the world. Like, no one knows where you are because they don't want people to know where you. If people have your location, they might try to break you out or something like that. They said. So, and like the food and, like, the bathroom times was crazy, bro. And then, like, the heater was broken, so I was screaming. I'm like, dude, we're like freezing back here. And they're like, shut up or we won't feed you. So, like, we complained, they would stop feeding us. So, like, I was like, gosh, bro, like, America's terrible.
This is the U.S. Marshals?
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. So, so finally we get to Colorado. We get to this mountain jail, and there was bed sheets, pillows, toothbrush. Like, it was heaven. But you stay up for like 11 days. You start hallucinating.
Sure.
And I couldn't sleep after that. Like, it was very weird. Anyways, I made Jefferson County. It's in Colorado. Boom. My parents finally, they bailed me out. 2014 Valentine's Day. I was a free man.
Wow.
I called my dad. I said, Dad, what are you doing? He says, I'm at a yoga festival downtown. You want to come? I was like, yeah. So I went from being around all Moroccans and Spanish people to all around Puerto Ricans and blacks to all around, like, white boys. And then all of a sudden I'm at a yoga festival with all white chicks. And, like, it was just like, I was doing yoga and laughing, and people were, like, looking at me, and my dad's just, like, laughing too. Cause, like, I was like, you guys have no idea. So
you have no idea what I just been through.
No idea what I just been through.
Wow.
And my dad said, like, he's like, dude, it was like you were like a kid again or something, because everything was so new. And, like,
yeah,
you have to think, I was gone for 5 years. A lot changed in
Yeah.
America. Like I was behind.
Yeah.
So
This is 2014. So how long were you in Rikers for?
I think like 5 or 6 weeks.
5 or 6 weeks. Okay. And then you said they were driving you in circles, but when did you know you were going to Colorado?
Well, I knew I was going to Colorado because I had a warrant there and they're extraditing me.
Yeah.
I just didn't know we were making like
a bunch of stops.
All these stops, bro.
I see.
Like, because apparently, yeah, I think they get paid like they pick someone up, drop someone off, pick someone up, drop someone off. Some crazy people like escape artists and stuff. This guy is locked up for escaping prison 3 times.
Oh wow!
And I was like, "You really think you could escape?" Like, we're just having this conversation. He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I always do." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "But I'm not gonna because I have a kid now and I don't want to get in trouble again." And I was like, "Well, at least tell me when you would," because like I was just like so mind blown. He slips his cuffs. He's just back there chilling. Like, I'm like, "Bro, how do you slip your cuffs?" And I was like trying to be cool with him because I was like, it's kind of scary when you're like this and someone's free. Like if they were mad at you, like they could really
smoke you.
Yeah. And there was a point where they were unloading people and like the guard was behind, the door was open and he has his slip cuffs. He's like, "Now I could." And he's like, he could run right now. And I'm like, wow. But anyways, it was just interesting people. And 2014 Valentine's Day, I'm a free man for the first time at a yoga festival. Then, I know I can't drink. I knew that was the common denominator. Just stop drinking. I always got in trouble with drinking. And I need to find an MMA gym. And I called my buddy and he said, "Yeah, we know of an MMA gym." And I went to Factory X and I started training. And my buddy was the one I used to wrestle. He picked me up every single day and take me to the gym. And the day he stopped going to the gym, I got my driver's license. So I didn't miss a day of training.
Nice.
So I went 4-0 as an amateur, all finishes.
Were you all completely off of drugs at this point?
Yes.
Okay, so you're clean.
Yep.
Good.
I was doing like smoking hash in jail and I had like a little bit of Xanax and I was taking a sleeping aid every night. But I was clean when I got out. And so I started training. I started fighting as an amateur, 4-0. Then I started fighting as a pro, 8-0, 4 finishes. And I got to this fight, LFA championship. You win this belt, you win this title, you're going to the UFC. You lose, you're in the back of the line. I went into that fight, and as you know, and everyone knows, when you're not living right outside the cage, it always shows inside. Well, 1 year before this, my old coach, used to push me to spar right before fights, to do all these crazy stuff. When I had a concussion, he pushed me to spar. And I was sparring the Friday before my fight, popped my LCL, went to the doctor, had to pull out of a fight. Doctor prescribed me 40 Percocets. Boom, instantly hooked.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm doing oxys with my dad. I'm smoking them. I'm sniffing them. I'm going to Mexico after my fights to buy more because I can buy it over the counter. It was a vicious cycle. I would quit 3 weeks before a fight. For 1 week, I would have deathly withdrawals, like sick, like a flu.
Yeah.
Then I would feel kind of good. Then it would be fight week. Then I would go fight. I win the fight. And of course, to celebrate, I wasn't drinking, so I would take Oxy. And I was so addicted, man, to Oxy. And like, I saw so many friends die of this. And I was taking crazy amounts. I was taking Tramadol and I was taking everything, man. Like any painkiller, like, it was getting real bad, man, where I was like willing to do whatever for it, where you get in that stage. And after I lost that first fight, your first fight you lose is always the most devastating. It's terrible. Like, it's like, it just hits you hard. Like after you lose a couple, you just don't know what to do with these feelings.
Yeah.
So I went on this camping trip and I had to go into church and going to this Bible study, but I was still doing drugs and hooking up with chicks. And it wasn't matching up with what I was trying to believe in. And my buddy, Nate Marquardt, UFC legend, is a mentor of mine. He gave me this Bible study and it was, me and my buddy busted it out. We went camping in this crazy spot. I hiked till this hike, we hit a storm and almost killed us. I was chopping wood till my hands bled. I just wanted to feel pain. I was so mad. I just wanted to let that aggression out. And finally we calmed down and I busted out this Bible study and it just said, it was just challenging my salvation and my faith. And I felt offended at first. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was living as a hypocrite. I was not truly saved. And at that moment, I was like, God, take my life, because if you don't take it, I'll take it, because I don't want this life. I'm sick of it. I've worked so hard, and I've nothing to show, and I'm just a junkie again. and I'm just addicted. And the next couple weeks I went to church, and there was a baptism call. I had no idea. God was pulling so hard on my heart to go do it. I went in that water. It looked clear. When I walked out, it looked black to me, and I felt God say, that was your addiction, and that was your sin dead. And at that time, I was broke. I was living in my buddy's basement. I was not in the UFC. I never paid taxes in my life. I was basically not a real citizen. And a year later, I had met my beautiful wife, married her. We bought a house together. I broke into the UFC. I broke into the top 10, and I was a tax-paying citizen for the first time in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
What was that like? So, you had your addiction again, which I was an opiate addict as well. 2008, I tore my LCL, PCL meniscus.
Oh, wow. Same.
And we had team doctors. They gave me prescription pain pills. I had taken for about 2 years, and I wasn't like, I never went to oxys, thankfully, all Loratab.
Yeah.
And a couple years in, I was like, I'm just going to stop. Went through withdrawal, multiple times over the next 6 months, try to stop, withdraw. Went to a therapist, and I said, I'm completely functional running my companies, but we're going to have a clear brain and deal with the pain, than a foggy brain and no pain. He said, America's behind the times when it comes to opiate withdrawal. Google ibogaine. And so I Google ibogaine, and supposedly it stopped 100% of opiate withdrawals.
Really?
And I was skeptical, so I watched a couple documentaries. I'm like, you know what? I'll give it a try. It was illegal in the United States. Went to Mexico City, took a bus a couple hours south. Did ibogaine at a place called Iboga Quest, and was home 72 hours later. Never had a withdrawal, never had a craving.
Wow.
And that's actually how we got into the healthcare stuff we're doing now, because that sparked if this works but isn't available in the United States, what else is out there?
Wow.
But with the addiction though, I can only imagine, once you were addicted, you're an addict, you went to prison, you were clean, you had convinced yourself that you were making these changes in your life, which you were. You overcame a tremendous amount of adversity. You got out of Rikers barely, sent cross country, get clean, bunch of fights, but then now you have this addiction. Like, what is really, you prayed like, God, either take my life or I'm going to take it. But what is the mindset? Like, is it just hopelessness? What was the big spark besides that, Nate giving you that verse?
Yeah, it just came to a point where it was like you said, I've been through so much, and I overcame what I thought was my addictions before. And now I'm about to be in the UFC and change my life. And now I just lost this fight, and it's because I'm addicted to oxy and I can't get off. And after everything I've came through, now I'm back hooked on drugs, and I'm so close to my dream, and it got taken away, I thought at the time, where I was trying to control everything, and it became this overwhelming feeling of, I can't do this by myself. Mm-hmm. I need God, and I need to surrender my life because I'm trying to control every situation, every outcome. And it was just a mountain of stress and anxiety on top of me, and every time I tried to control it, it failed. Mm-hmm. Where I was just like, man, I need faith. Mm-hmm. I need to give this to God. And whatever the outcome may be, it's his plan.
So did you go through the withdrawal as well again? Is it like you just were like, one day I'm not going to take this anymore? And you went through the dope sickness and...
Well, yeah. Yep.
Man.
100%. Actually, I had 0 withdrawals.
Really?
I had 0 withdrawals after I got baptized. It was crazy. That is crazy. It was a baptism call, and I knew I was going to do it, but I wanted my mom and family to be there. Mm-hmm. So I said, it was a Saturday service. I said, let's do it on Sunday tomorrow. I'll be back. I went and binged that night. Adderall, Xanax, opioids, everything. And the crazy part is all those prescription drugs are probably the worst for you. And I'm sitting there itchy, heart pumping, laying on my bed, and I'm like, dude, I hate this. Why do I do this to myself? Mm-hmm. And the next day I went in and to church, got baptized, 0 withdrawals after, felt the most love, the most light, the most weight lifted off me, the most amazing I felt. But then all of a sudden I had this like weird head feeling of like, and maybe you could call that withdrawals, but it lasted a month of like when you're coming down from being high, like on weed, and you just have that like fogginess. I had fogging or almost a concussion for a month. Like I told my coach 2 weeks in, I said, and I was transparent with him about what was going on. I'm like, dude, I'm not training because I don't know what's going on with my head. And like a month after, all of a sudden, one day the fog just lifted like this. And I felt God say, that's the feeling you never want. And now I never want that feeling because I used to like that feeling of kind of high and out of it and don't care. And now I love to be sharp. I love to be on point. And I think it was God showing me that feeling that I never want to have again. So he made me have that. And I'm praying. I'm like, I did what you wanted, God. I was obedient. You know, I changed my life and I'm surrendering. And it was just, I just had to stay faithful. And literally one day, and I don't know if it was audible or a voice inside of me, but I heard that's the feeling you never want. And from that day, I've been sober. And, you know, I've used like CBD and THC and stuff for pain. But if it goes too far from just a body relief, if it goes too far to like a high, I will feel that feeling, and I don't want that feeling. Yeah.
I have to watch it if I get injured. You know, I tell the doctor that I'm going to. I'm like, hey, you know, I had this opiate problem. Like, don't give me X, Y, and Z. I just don't want to take a chance, man. You know, it's like get that feeling again, and you know, it's hard to explain until you've been through it.
Yes.
You know, your mind just plays tricks on you. Like you always have an excuse to do it. You know, at least for me, that's how it was for me. It's like always an excuse.
Oh, well, this hurts. Oh, well, it's the weekend. Oh, it's my day off. Like there was always an excuse. That little voice in your head is so evil.
Yeah,
like
man.
that's not. And that's the thing. When I first went to Cellular Performance Institute, and I got the intrathecal, I tried doing 0 painkillers, bro.
Yeah.
And you know, you're on the bed, and I remember like, and I was like, just give it to me. And they hit me with something. And I was like, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out. And the very nice nurse you had there was like, just take deep breaths. Like that was like, I was so glad she did that. Yeah. And I just took deep breaths, and I ended up doing like Tramadol after. And it was just a different feeling though. Like, yeah, I had that like that good feeling, but it was like, it wasn't like I need this again.
Right.
So I do believe God changed something in my heart, but yeah, I'm still nervous because I don't want to open doors.
Yeah.
And I don't want to play with fire because that when you're out of that, man, you never want to go back.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, like I said, I watch it pretty carefully if I were injured or whatever, you know. And it was actually kind of funny. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago. I woke up with these back spasms, so much so like I couldn't get out of bed. I had my phone there. I'm like, it's like lower back. And so I lower middle back, like spaz. If I move, it's like,
that's tough.
And I'm like, shoot. So I call my buddy John Satterfield. And I'm like, hey man, like I don't want to call an ambulance, but would you mind coming over here and helping? I need your help to get out of bed, you know? And so for about 45 minutes, he's trying to help me out of bed. I'm in my underwear, you know, like this is, and you know, every time he'd move me, and so there was a point where he's holding my head off of the bed, and I start laughing because I'm like sitting here, my buddy's like trying to help me out of bed in my underwear. It felt kind of, you know, funny. It was like a sitcom or something.
Yeah.
And we went to Vanderbilt, and at that point, I would have taken payment. I'm like, I got to have something.
Yeah.
And the doctor there thought I was searching for drugs.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, you know, you're just a job. I'm like, oh my, this is kind of funny actually, because, you know, that's the opposite. I almost would do anything not to take this, but this is how much pain that I'm in. But, yeah, I mean, that's, he's like, nope. He's like, you know, how many of these places have you been to? I'm like, man, I haven't done a pain pill in 7-8 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. Yeah. So it's just the opposite. But
he's like, I've heard that before.
You know, you do have to be cognitive of it, like to not go down that, you know, rabbit hole again. But that's amazing. I mean, at what point, so, you know, you basically turned your life over to God.
Yeah.
You know, said you saw the water turn black.
Yeah.
And that was the realization that that's like all the toxicity or whatever leaving your body.
All the addiction.
What was life like after that? At what point did you meet your wife?
Yeah. So, and going back to your point, it does suck after you've been an abuser of these drugs, because there is a time and place where you could really, man, I wish I could take a muscle relaxer, or on a plane and the turbulence is so bad, you're like, wish I could pop a Xanax right now. Like, this is terrible. But you can't because you abused it. But yeah, so after that, after I was baptized, and I was just like, all right, I'm all in on fighting. I'm all in with God. And I just started living different, man. And I had to leave old friends, and I had to get new friends and just stay on a good track. And, you know, after that, I fought in LFA again. And
what year is this, by the way?
So this is 2017.
Okay, 2017.
Yep, 2017. So then I fought in LFA, first round knockout, boom. Oh no, second round knockout, very vicious knockout though. Then they put me main event in Vail, Colorado, boom, knockout. Then I was like, I'm going to the UFC, let's go. Contender Series came out. Now you got to go through Contender Series. And it was like the joke, the managers always say, one more finish, one more finish, one more finish. And I was like, nowadays it's so easy to get in the UFC, I feel like, compared to how it used to be.
Right.
Like used to be used, like now guys are like 5-2 when they're getting in the UFC. Like I was 10-1 when I got in the UFC, and it was still a challenge.
Yeah.
All right, you got to go to the Contender Series. That's fine. And I had met Joni at a yoga festival. I was driving back from camping with my dad after a fight, and we were going to this yoga festival. My dad wanted to go to this crazy rave, and it was like a fork in the road. Do we go to this like Sonic Bloom, it was called, or this yoga festival? And I'm like, Dad, I'm not doing stuff like I used to. And I was like, let's just go. I'm down to go do some yoga. We went to yoga, and that's where I met my wife. She was at the same hotel, and I was walking past her, and I'm like, hey, what's up? I was like, I'm going to go do this class if you want to come. And she showed up, and that's how we met. We started dating. And then I had Contender Series. Went out there, knocked the guy out, first round with elbows. Boom, vicious. Bounced his head off the ground. You know, like 4 unanswered elbows just on top of him. And got a UFC contract. Tried to fight in Denver, Colorado. Tried to fight Kevin Holland. Tried to fight all these guys. No one would fight me because of the elevation. So I was just staying ready, and I was really like pressing the UFC. I was like, I want to fight. Like, I'm ready to make UFC money. I'm ready to get the fight kit. I'm ready to, you know, be a UFC fighter. And it was November, and they called me on a Thursday, said, Cesar Ferreira's opponent pulled out in Argentina. You want to go out? I said, yeah, let's do it.
In Argentina?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I flew out on Saturday or on Sunday. So it was 8 days notice.
Yeah.
Flew out on Sunday.
Jet lag.
She came out. We had only been dating a little while, and she was like, yeah. She's like, I'll come out with you. And I'm like, cool, let's go. So we flew out there, and just had the best experience of a lifetime. Just close family and friends flew out, won the fight, ended up hanging out with the UFC, stayed up till like 6 a.m. with the UFC, like because it was just like so tight knit. It was one of those hotels where it's all a big circle and the bar's in the middle. So it was just like I got to know everyone in the UFC. It was super cool. Hang out with Mick and Sean, and just really meet the whole staff, and really became really cool with them right away. So Cesar Ferreira was like 15 in the world, beat him, close decision, a war. Somehow I had more cardio than him, even though it was short notice. And then second fight, I was supposed to fight Tom Breeze in London. Had all that legal battle. My coach was like, I can't accept it. And finally Mick's like, you know what, screw it, Ian, I'm going to take a chance. We were like chasing the lawyer down in Tenerife and trying to get all this paperwork. And Mick just called me. He's like, Ian, I'm just going to take a chance. Book a flight. Let's go. And I was like, let's go. Showed up, was supposed to fight Tom Breeze, the London boy. And day of the fight, I'm getting ready. I just showered, getting ready to hop on the bus. And Tom turned his phone off, or he said he was injured, but I later found out he just turned his phone off and drove away. So I think he had he had mental issues, and I mean, everyone gets nervous. So I don't want to talk bad about him, and then I got a short notice fight to fight Antonio Carlos Jr. Jiu-jitsu black belt, world champ, fought him, took me down. After a round and a half of him controlling me and trying to submit me, he got tired and just beat him down. Won that fight. He was ranked 10 in the world, and then I was ranked 9 in the world. Then I fought Derek Brunson. So my whole UFC career, I just was thrown in with the wolves. Looking back, yeah, maybe I could have fought Contender Series guys and lower level guys and built my way up. And then I fought Derek Brunson, lost a close decision, fought Omari Akhmedov, and this is when I started having concussions. To the point where I was like, my coach was pressing me to come to the gym. I couldn't come to the gym. I hopped on a plane to Mexico and just went to a resort and laid on the beach by myself. Like just because I had, and then finally I came back and my coach grabbed my face. He's like, just train. And, I lost a close fight to Omari Akhmedov, and I was like, man, I got to change this. I can't get pushed like this. So I had a thyroid issue, a thyroid disorder. I started putting on a lot of weight. I had a really bad hypothyroidism. So all of a sudden I used to weigh 205 and my weight cuts weren't bad. Now I'm 220, 225, and the weight cuts are horrendous.
Yeah, which isn't good for your brain either.
Not good for my brain.
Yeah.
I felt lethargic all the time. Like, bro, I could pull over on the side of the road and just like I was that tired. Like the only time I would feel good is when I get my adrenaline going at practice. Then I don't feel good. So it was like I had some serious health issues. I had this skin issue. I kept getting staph over and over. And this happened before I met her. So this was right around Contender Series time. And it would be like folliculitis, staph, antibiotic. Go to the doctor, they prescribe me antibiotics.
Yeah.
Go away, stomach correct. Next month, boom, again. I probably did 20 rounds of antibiotics this in one summer.
Sure.
And I had blood in my stool.
Oh yeah. Screws up your stomach.
Oh, bro, I went and got a colonoscopy. I woke up when they were done, and the doctor goes, "It was from stress. Do a suppository. That's it."
Yeah. From stress.
I have blood in my stool. I'm gaining weight. I don't feel right in the gym anymore. My cardio's gone, and I'm a cardio machine. That's what I pride myself on. Like I have that. I brawl and I make fights ugly. Like I scrap, then grapple, then scrap. And I'm losing everything. And I meet her, and it's like our third date, and I'm like, this is kind of like weird to tell you, but like, can your doctors help me? And she's like, what's going on? Like, I was like, I have blood in my stool. Like, it's pretty bad. Like, and no one else cared, like my coach and stuff. And so they took me to the doctor, got my blood work done, found out I was anemic in my iron because I was losing so much blood. I had Hashimoto thyroid. I had hypothyroidism. I had ulcerated colitis, and I was all messed up. So they totally changed my diet, my supplements, super high probiotics. I started doing ozone treatments for my legs, 10 passes after 10 passes.
How many 10 passes did you do?
Probably like 15, 20.
Cleared it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I would have a breakout before the fight, go do a 10 pass, and you'd almost see it drying up, going away. Like the next day it would almost be gone.
Wow.
And then I would go fight. But the thing is, I would have a Herxheimer response.
Yep.
And because it would just be killing all that crap. Of
course.
I would just for 2 days, it would just
you get sick.
I'd feel like sick, bro.
Yeah, ozone, man. It's like we were talking earlier, but it is my favorite thing. And you will get Herxheimer reactions. Like if you have COVID and you do ozone, like I do the ozone and I get the response. I'm like, I'm getting, you feel almost sicker for a minute because you have the die off and you have your immune response.
Yeah.
To that. But ozone's one of those things, man.
It's good stuff.
Oh,
dude.
it's incredible. There's a couple doctors. It's Dr. Robbins and Rollins. I could be messing this up. One's in New York, one's in California. But they went to the Sierra Leone to treat Ebola patients.
Yes.
And wild.
Oh, yeah, and healing him. Basically, the government said, get out.
Yeah, they ended up kicking him out. I think they treated the president of Sierra Leone. Let's see what these doctors' names are. Let's see what the doctors' names are. Type in Sierra Leone Ozone. Yeah. Ozone. Ebola. Yeah, Rowan. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Rowan is one, and
that's who.
Yeah, but let's find the other guy's name. Click on that Rowan one. And just hold on right there. Let me look at the authors. Yeah, so it's Dr. Robert Rowan and Dr. Howard Robbins. They went from New York and California and went to Sierra Leone, treated the Ebola patients. I believe they actually treated, as I was saying, the president of Sierra Leone, and evidently the health department of the country came in and said, you can't be here. And my argument to like the mainstream scientists that say there's no evidence, like these are two licensed medical doctors that are going to treat Ebola patients. Mm-hmm. Like they clearly have done enough research to think that this works, because if not, they're going to die if they get Ebola. Yeah. And it's Ozone is incredible. I mean, there was a study, and this is kind of funny because as soon as COVID happened, first thing I thought was ozone therapy. I thought ozone would be the best thing to treat COVID.
Yeah.
I started translating some different languages and ozone for clinical trials to see if there were any clinical trials going on in different countries. And I found one in Italy. And there was a doctor from Italy. He was an anesthesiologist. So I sent him an email and in Italian, like you got translated on the translator thing. And he wrote me back kindly in English. So, I can speak English. And he was doing a clinical trial. So I do a podcast with him. And it's about his clinical trial that he had 36 patients, 35 were pre-ICU, one was in the ICU. The 35 pre-ICU with COVID didn't have to go to the ICU. The one that was in the ICU got out of the ICU. And we have a great conversation about it. We weren't making any claims. We're talking about his clinical trial, and YouTube kicked me off just for doing the podcast. And I didn't even think, this is like probably April or May of 2020. So this is right after, it wasn't very far in, and it was before they started shadow banning, and I've been shadow banned now for a long time. But, ozone therapy, like for something you're talking about, it actually works good with antibiotics. Like it's not just, you can add antibiotics as well, and they will work better. So I'm not surprised. 10 pass is super strong.
Oh, that rocks the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we bought an ozone machine. Like,
nice.
That's how much we believe in it. We brought it to Thailand with us, and her doctor, he was the one telling us about all these studies, and it's incredible what it does. And the first experience I had with ozone, I had this ringworm that would not go away. Mm-hmm. I put every single cream on it, it was the itchiest, biggest, nastiest ringworm I've ever had in my life, and it would not go away. And I went to this yoga thing in New York, and this guy was all about ozone, and he went bop, 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 like in my skin, pushed air around it. It blew up like this big, and then it came down, gone. Like I'm talking like 4 hours. Like I watched this thing just gone.
Did he inject inside the ringworm, or was it around?
Around it.
Interesting. Cause an immune response. That's awesome.
It was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot that it can do. You can do cupping too. So if you have like a sore or something that's not healing, there's these cups that you can put on and put the ozone in, and it'll just get that one major area. For staph infection, you can cup it too. And of course, staph a lot of times is in deeper. But I've had friends who are fighters that it basically 2 weeks out of a big fight, staph infection in their calf. And we ozoned the hell out of it and got them to fight, and they won the 3-rounder.
Nice.
So
don't say their name, because ozone is It's not USADA approved.
It's not USADA approved. You can't like use it on your skin.
I don't know. I mean, my doctor, when I told him that, he said, what are they going to ban next? Deep breaths of air?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, 03. Come on. Yeah.
Yeah. So but it is, people have no idea. And like my cousin's a PA and we tell him about it. He's like, nah, that stuff's, and I'm like, dude,
Ozone. I mean, here we have now, we're the largest manufacturers of mesenchymal stem cells in the world.
Yes.
And over stem cells, I would pick Ozone. I mean, I say it publicly. I don't care. Like now it's different things.
Yeah,
stem cells will help certain things, but for overall health on a regular basis, there's nothing better than Ozone. You can do it. I have a generator next to my bed in Nashville and next to my bed in Mexico. If you do it every other day, you will never get sick. And you can do it, IV, you can do the 10 pass, which is pumping 10 times. Yeah. You can do it extracorporeal, which is going into a machine, taking your blood out and then putting it back in your body. Which that's the strongest.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's even stronger.
Yeah.
And then, but for home use, you can do it rectally and you get about 50% of the IV dose. And for me, I don't have to get stuck now every week. I can just do it that way. And I mean,
it freaks people out doing the IV.
Yeah.
Pushing
looks like air.
Yeah, it looks like air, right?
But it works incredibly. So I'm a huge Ozone fan, and that's cool that it helps you.
Yeah.
I mean,
it healed me.
Yeah.
When nothing could, bro. Like they even took samples of it, and they're like only thing they could tell me was antibiotics. Yeah. And it's like, and the thing was weird. She never caught it, and I sleep in the same bed as her. No one ever caught it from me having it. Mm-hmm. So it was something in my blood.
Yeah.
Like it was something from being locked up. I think it was something from mold or,
Well, we all have, staph and stuff on our skin.
Yeah.
It's natural. So for instance, like if, for injections, that's one that we have to clean the area. But for stem cells, for instance, you got to clean the area really good. Our biggest fear or concern with the disc injections is getting an infection in the disc through the skin, because you can clean it perfectly. And sometimes still we actually do a needle first that goes before the disc. And then we put a needle inside the needle so it never touches the actual skin.
Oh, wow.
That's our, they don't even do that in the US, but that's how serious we take infections.
Meningitis, or is that?
Well, in the US, they don't take as many precautions as we take in Mexico for injecting discs. So when you do an epidural injection with cortisone for a disc, they just go directly into your disc. They clean it really good. Yeah. But they're still going to go directly into your disc with the needle. Ugh. We don't do that. We do the needle right, and we do a needle in the skin and put it right before the disc, and we put a needle inside the needle, so the needle that actually goes in your disc has never touched the skin, just in case there's some staph that hasn't, or any type of infection that hasn't been cleaned off. Because you're going to get 1 in 1,000 or so infections per, for injections like that. Yeah. So we've had 2 infections in about 3 years, and that's probably with, I'm going to guess, between 6,000 and 10,000 injections. And we haven't had any infections since we started that new way of doing it too.
Oh, so, wow. And you do that with the intrathecal?
We do that with the disc injection. So for herniated disc.
Okay. Yeah. But not the intrathecal?
I had to check on the intrathecal. The reason I know this technique is because we do, like intrathecal, we only might do 20 a year. So I haven't actually walked and watched the procedure. Like the disc injections, we're doing so many every week.
Every week.
Yeah, we do 15 patients, average 3 discs. So that's 45 a week of that one. Yeah, you see a lot of those.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but yeah, man, I mean the infections on the skin was probably just your immune system wasn't fighting it off for whatever reason. Yeah. And the ozone, it's a great immune modulator. It's really good at killing viruses. It's pretty good at killing bacteria. Yep. And it's really good at just kind of resetting your immune system to go and fight stuff off. Yep. So,
it's good stuff, man.
Huge ozone fan. How many times have you been back for, have you been to TJ for stem cells?
Twice. Yeah.
Okay. And this was, did you do intrathecal both times?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool.
And the second time too, we did shoulders, shoulders, wrist, and intravenous.
Nice. How's all that? How's that going for you?
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy when I did the first time down in Mexico. I did the intrathecal and I did intravenous, and you know, it was crazy because this is when I had a bad thyroid. I was hypo. I was taking medication every single day. I had been on medication for probably 4 or 5 years before that. Probably 4. Yeah, somewhere around there. I'd been on medication for a while. And I went down there, and after I got the intrathecal, it was crazy because I did the intrathecal, and that night, bro, my head felt like it was going to explode. Like, it was like, because they told me when the stem cells hit damaged tissue, you have an inflammatory response, right?
That's right.
So obviously I had a lot of damaged cells, man. And it was crazy. It took me a while, but I felt like I saw clearer, like, I think colors were more vivid. And once the pain went away, I felt so much better. And honestly, I think I hindered it a little bit because I went back to training within like a month. I should have gave it like 5 months, but I was still like, I need to fight. And with the intravenous, all of a sudden I was on a fishing trip and my heart, I just took my thyroid medication. I felt like my heart was going to explode. I was having like heart palpitations. And I'm like, what is going on? I feel weird. So I went to my doctor and I was like, I went to Joni and her business partner. I was like, let's get my blood work done. So they took my blood work. I flipped from hypo to hyper.
Nice.
So something was going on. Yeah. So they told me, stop taking your medication. Yeah. Get rid of that immediately. Because I started with level thyroxine, hated it. Then I went to Nature-Throid, like more of a natural one. It was okay. It sucked still. And now I'm hyper, so I feel different, and I'm off medication. So then we gave it was probably another 8 months, and I went back to you guys, and then probably like a year and a half ish time frame from the first stem cell treatment. Got my blood work taken, been off medication for about a year and a half, leveled out.
Awesome. Best
I've had in probably 7 years.
That's awesome, man.
Incredible.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Incredible results, man.
Yeah, we see weird stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't expected. You didn't expect that. We didn't expect that for you.
Yeah.
But it's pretty darn cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys, I knew when you do it intravenous, those stem cells are going to go at points of inflammation. Sure. I have a nodule here, so they probably went there, and over time, especially if you're eating healthy and you're letting those stem cells survive well, you're gonna have those results, man. And it comes 5, 6 a year down the line. And and then obviously I went again, and I mean, I was bad. Like, I was to the point where I told you guys, like, I was stuttering, I was forgetting where I was, my sense of direction was gone. I would have days where I would just feel so foggy, like, and now, just, I would say the past 3-4 months, I've felt the best I've ever felt.
That's awesome.
Yeah, praise God, because it was like, wow. Like, I was like, am I going to be like this the rest of my life? And like, I don't declare it anymore. Like, I'm healed. I declare that because a lot of people with brain injuries, they say they deal with it their whole life. And yeah, I might feel some days a little weird, but who doesn't?
Sure.
At least I tell myself that. I declare that I'm healed. I'm on an amazing regimen with Hive Health, my wife's business, and I'm doing peptides, lots of peptides. I'm a big believer in peptides, and man, I'm feeling the best I've felt in so long. And will I fight again? Potentially. It is a big risk because of everything I went through, and killing it in crypto right now. So it's kind of like, man, I want to be a business. I want to start a business. We're going to buy a ranch. I want to start this treatment center. I've seen so much of the revolving door where I want to find something where people come to it and they experience true change.
Sure. Absolutely.
Teach them the skills, teach them how to run a business, teach them, how to cope with their emotions, train them MMA, make them work a hard day's work on the ranch. Yeah. Like, let them really understand what a hard day's work is.
Sure.
And of course, show them, how God can heal them from their addictions, and I believe it can create and train them MMA, and I believe it could create champions. I believe it can really change people's lives because I see what these treatment centers do. I see what the prisons are doing, and we can do better, and I can do better.
Well, I mean, and for you, man, I mean, like, you're at a point where, and this is just from the outside. I'm not saying this is what to do. This is we're talking here, but if you don't have to fight for money, and you are getting, you have brain injury, what are you fighting for?
Yeah.
Especially you got a great wife. You've got, you have a vision of how to help other people, which, that's, to me, there's nothing cooler doing than that. I understand what it's like to want to keep fighting. I mean, I still want to have a fight.
Yeah.
I totally get it, by the way. I haven't fought in over 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
But I still do. I mean, I'm still like, maybe I'm 42. I could do, like, come on, man, come on.
Yeah.
But, with the brain injury and you're feeling so good now, and, it's like, and you're making money with crypto, like what is the driver behind that? Where do you see yourself right now with that?
It's just like, I truly felt like, I didn't accomplish what I set out for. I won a world title in LFA, but there was always the UFC belt. And I felt like it was just like rug pulled from me. And it was very hard to come to concept and really questioning what God's plan was for it, because, these guys I'm beating up in the gym, they're main events now. They're, I was right there talent wise, like skill wise, like, especially if I had my thyroid and everything on point, like I was inches from beating these guys, like one move, and guys I was beating in practice are now doing so well and winning world titles, which I'm happy for. But I'm just like, man, like, I know I could have, accomplished that. So that's the only thing I like to finish when I start.
Got it.
And I felt God was calling me to be a world champ, and, I could have used that platform. And, I've had all these movie opportunities about my life. I have had a deal in my email for the past couple of years, but I want it to be, I don't want to just sign my life rights over for a couple $1,000
of course,
and have them just run with it. I want to be in control, and I want to do it the right way, because I don't want it to glorify the bad stuff. I want to show the redemption side, because we all know it. Look at this country. This country needs redemption.
Yeah, man.
A lot of people need redemption. We need a great redemption story, and there's nothing like it. And I think a movie like that, a story like that in the public, I think could really, help a lot of people's lives and definitely entertain people.
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's like the ultimate hero's journey, where you've been through hell and, found your faith, came back and are doing good things, making a difference, being a good person, and it is. I think it's the ultimate redemption story. Yeah, you've overcome a lot. Most people would be dead now or complete junkies, and you've got something in you that doesn't, says, no, I'm better than that. You've found an amazing wife. You've got the relationship with God. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's what living ultimately is really about. Yeah. And so, but that's why I wanted to have you on the podcast. I'm like, we got to tell your story to our audience. And, more and more people definitely need to hear it. Mm-hmm. And, I just think it's awesome, man. I'm inspired just hearing you. So
yeah, awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you having me on, and you're definitely you're doing such great things with your treatment center and the stem cells. And I don't know if you guys are still involved with the cancer treatment.
Oh yeah,
stuff. But like that really touched me, man. Like I got to go share my testimony up there, but I walked away with more because I'm over here complaining about my life. Oh, why can't I fight? I got a concussion. And these people are fighting for their lives literally. And that was like, wow. So, it's amazing your success, but what also you're doing to help people survive. And that program was really cool, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, the cancer part, we're actually with the renovation. We opened that back around July. Okay. And we built the best lab in the world for solid tumor cancers. So next generation sequencing, optical genome mapping, proteomics, digital pathology. The largest tumor panel right now in the United States is about 630 genes. Ours is going to be 1,020. Wow. Almost double the largest you can get in America, plus all the other stuff that we're doing with the testing. And it's going to be awesome when we're done. But the stem cells have been a big blessing because it's funded all the cancer research and all the big dreams of how do we create the best diagnostic facility in the world for solid tumor cancers. And this is like, God just laid this one out. Like, here you go. We're going to make this stem cell thing really big for you.
Yeah.
And it's going to, here's your answer.
Yeah. And so, wasn't that the story of how you guys started it? Was it your parents?
Yeah, my mom. My mom. Right? Yeah, we didn't have any options in the United States for her RA. And I told you the ibogaine story and how, and I said, well, what else is out there? If this isn't available in the United States but can help people, what else is in other countries? So my mom had failed all standard of care. She broke her back on a short fall because of the medications. She got multiple staph infections because it was suppressing her immune system. She got tuberculosis. So she was, and the RA had started to attack her organs. And so I'd read a study on something called Colles toxins for rheumatoid arthritis, and it was from 1923.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, that makes sense, though. So there was a hospital in Mexico that had it, but it wasn't available anywhere else in the world. And so we went to look at this hospital, and it had closed 2 years before. So Scotty and Dedrick and I, we found the original owner, bought the hospital from him. My mom came in a wheelchair. Wow. We hired back the original staff. My mom came in a wheelchair and left 3 weeks later walking, and she's been in remission now for almost 9 years.
Wow.
So that was the catalyst behind it all.
That's incredible.
It's cool, man. It's a blessing. And so, and then MMA is what's real and what's not real. Like, so we had a front row seat to, people say there's like a conspiracy for cancer cure. Like, I don't believe it because, like, literally we've tried everything you can think of.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing that, like...
You're a research guy too, aren't you?
Yeah, big time.
I can tell.
So from the alternative side, though, to the next level science side, we're working on it. And that's with the new build out with our labs that we're building. We're going to be able to do what's called CAR T cells, tumor infiltrating lymphocytes, like the immunotherapy treatments that are in clinical trial right now that match genetics and stuff like that. That's, that's what we're going to be able to do in this next iteration of the hospital. But, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's, we have tried everything though. And, I also know that, some things do work. Mm-hmm. Not every time though. I don't know of a cure for cancer because cancer isn't a disease, and you could treat two people with the same cancer, the same way, and one person will respond, the next person won't. And you're like, what's going on here? Yeah. So, it's pretty complicated, but overall, it's been an awesome journey. Yeah. And we're almost 9 years in August. Wow. And, it's wild to look back now.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So it's really cool.
But thank you for that. And, I think, your story is, in many ways, a lot more inspirational than anything. I mean, it's different. But it is this hero's journey. I guess we both share the hero's journey. But it's like, it's one that the world needs to hear. And just keep doing what you're doing, man. I remember we're at, I see you in Miami last week or 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago or so. Yeah. And I was like, oh, hey, can I buy you a drink? And you're like, no, I don't drink. Oh, sorry about that. But, and all of your story, like, hit me. I remember I was like, I had these moments of that. Yeah. And, it's cool, man. I think there's a lot of addicts out there right now in the United States. It's getting worse and worse.
It's so bad
fentanyl
right now.
And, it's just, it's wild times. As you said, the United States, the country needs healing, we need redemption.
Yes, we do.
And, so get out there and tell your story. And one day, it wouldn't surprise me if everybody knew it, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's my goal, man. We're going to start a podcast just sharing testimonies, and that's going to kind of be the catalyst for the treatment center. It's all going to connect in. And eventually when the treatment center is going, we're going to have people share their story on the podcast, and it'll be kind of you know, a revolving door in a good way, where it's you know, they're going to hear a testimony and they're going to feel hope, and then they're going to go to this treatment center, and then they're going to become the testimony. So that's what God's been calling me to do. And me and my buddy, who was a complete junkie, shooting up, sold his car, thought he was going to die, completely changed his life around. We're going on a mission trip to Panama. We're going to witness, we're going to fish, and then we're going to go over our game plan for this this ranch we're going to do.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, anything that you know, I can do, or Scotty and Dedrick, our team, can do to help, just let us know. We love what you're doing, man.
Awesome, man.
All right,
appreciate
Ian,
it.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.